Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight's guest, Ananda Devi. She's the author of Intimacy with the Infinite, which came out in September 2019. We're going to talk about transcendental meditation, the Raza transmission, stuff that's probably I have no clue about, but I'm really interested in this concept, especially the Enneagrams. I've been watching some of her videos. We're gonna get deep tonight, go down deep, and this show's got to be some kind of special show because it's episode 212 on 2/02/20, Groundhog's Day, right? So I think it's gonna be a special episode, and we got a lot of weird to get to in the World Wide Web of Weird. So we'll get to that in a second. We'll open up the phone lines probably usually after the second commercial break. So just hang in there. I'll get those phone lines out. We should have all of them open tonight because Ananda is going to be joining us on StreamYard. Which check out StreamYard, great program for broadcasting video. Check it out. But yeah, we'll be doing that World Wide Web of Weird course, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed your Super Bowl. I have no idea who won. I don't watch the Super Bowl. My mom watches the Puppy Bowl, so that kind of. I never grew up in a football family, but I hope you guys enjoyed the Super Bowl. And now it's time for some weird. Let's go ahead and roll into it. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, as I said before. Tonight's guest, Ananda Devi, is going to join us after our World Wide Web Weird News segment, after the first commercial break. So if you're here for her, you can hang out, listen to some weird news, or come back, But we got some weird news tonight, so definitely stick around. All right, and joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing well, thank you.
And ready to go into some TM, Transcendental Meditation. I did meditation stuff in the lab, but the Transcendental Meditation, all this, I'm totally clueless. So we'll learn about that tonight. And from St. Augustine, Florida, of course, is Rob Autry himself, running the World Wide Web Weird. How you doing?
I'm doing great here by the seat of my pants.
Were you watching the Super Bowl?
No, dude, I didn't even know who was playing.
Yeah, I've never been a big football guy, I mean, if the Bears were in it, which is like never, hardly, maybe I'd watch, but that's it. But yeah, no, I'm not a big football guy, but yeah, hey, it just ended. So everybody joining me, thank you tonight. Ananda Devi, definitely going to check it out after the World Wide Web of Weird. Speaking of that, let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web Weird, last Sunday there was the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, and in the paranormal community, that's sure caused some debates, right? We're not going to get into that. But speaking of the paranormal and Kobe Bryant, I noticed this picture going around viral. It wasn't somebody, this came from a ABC 8 News It's WRIC.com is where you can find this article. They released footage from the crash, and somebody happened to spot a peculiar ghostly image in the background. For those listening on our Paranormal Soup radio network, we are a webcast. You can watch us on Facebook and on YouTube, where we share videos and pictures like we're about to share here. This, like I said, I'm not going to read the articles. It was just talking about the crash, but somebody noticed in this picture, and I know it's going to be hard for you to see. We got zoom ins we're going to show here. Here's the initial article from ABC 8 News. When I saw these pictures, I wish I knew. I lost who caught this. I saw it in some paranormal feed. I'm like, what? I went and checked it out for myself, zoomed it in for myself. And yeah, there really is an image at this crash site. This footage was taken with an NTSB, or NTSB releases footage of a helicopter crash. They used these drones to get these pictures. This actually was shot from a drone, I believe. There's weeds and stuff in the way now. As we see, I know for some people it might be hard to see, but it's almost in the middle of the picture, but a little bit up. I know Rob can put a cursor on that. I don't know if it'll show it, but he's going to zoom in here. Of course, I forgot you can zoom in. Yeah, he's circling it with his cursor there. As we get closer, this is like a well-built naked ghost. I'm just saying, you got to go up. There we go. Like you can see the chest muscles. It's like back there. I mean, this could be total pareidolia, but there's something odd about it. And there's numerous cases of crash site photos that have mysterious things in them, where deaths happen.
Right here is like going right across his face. It looks like
that I think is like a weed or some kind.
Yeah, a close-up piece of grass.
Let me pull it up as a full screen for the audience too, see if we can get any better picture of it. I mean, you can almost see his hair in the picture. Let's see if you can go to one of the other zoom ins. If you go in and zoom in, you can almost see like dark hair or some kind. I'm not saying this is Kobe Bryant, and a number of people died in this crash, sadly. And it could be anybody's spirit that's showing up here. Doesn't have to be Kobe Bryant. But there's something there. I mean, look. It does, like Rob, you pointed out before the show. It really sticks out when you first see the photo. I mean, doing it on here is no justice. I said, you go to WRIC.com, and it'd be NTSB releases footage of a Calabasa. I don't know if I just say it, helicopter crash site. It's in there. It's like the first photo you see, and then they got a video on that. But you want to look at the photo, and see it in like on your phone or on a computer screen really well.
It's Calabasas.
Calabasas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. And I first pulled that picture up before you said anything.
Yeah, you spotted it.
What's that?
I mean, you spotted it.
Yeah, that's weird.
I don't know. I'm one of the people that foo-paw a lot of photos, and I'm not a photo expert. Definitely not. But there's something there, man. I don't know. I really feel like you can see like his arms and his chest muscles. It's like half his torso is there, and his head, which is kind of blocked by this dang weed. If that weed hadn't been there, But it almost seems like at the top of his head there's hair.
Yeah, like right here.
Yeah.
Could be the angel of death.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. It's got that. I don't know. And it's about the size of a person, because I think there was like, I don't know, zoom back out. Is that I think a person nearby them? I know there's somebody there. I think in the picture, somebody right next to him there at the crash site. It's hard to tell. I think if you looked at the clear picture, I think there's somebody in that searching the crash field there. I can't tell.
It looks like a person right here.
Yeah.
That yellow, yeah. I can't tell if that's part of the wreckage or
it's weird. If that's a person, this is more clear than an actual person.
Linda asks, Rob, can you take the color out and increase the gamma? It might separate the image a bit more. I had some apps to do that, Linda. It really didn't. I tried, but maybe somebody else can do it better than me. I don't know.
Yeah, I can throw one.
Because I thought that too, Linda. I tried to do that, and I thought it would increase it. It just really made it more of a blurry mess. I don't know. There's just something, and I left it to the original image because I felt like there's just something there to it. When I tried to do that, it just kind of like took it away. I don't know. But it reminds me of like one of the famous ones is like a cop took a picture of a crash scene, and you see this swirly golden light. It turns up into this face that's like screaming. That looked like the victim. I mean, that's one of the classic stories. You just wonder in these tragedies, if like that the stuff is imprinted in at that moment when when there's cameras going, this was a drone. All right, we better move on.
Yep.
We start. Ooh, wow, okay. All right. Speaking of paranormal investigators, I know they're all getting up their high horse about people doing ITC with Kobe Bryant. I mean, that goes. People, are you surprised? I don't know. I mean, seriously.
I just figure that, hey, if you don't like it, nobody.
The reason, why I say people get, the paranormal community get on their high horse about this stuff, and it's like, what? Where did you start out? Probably going to a cemetery, and I'm not a big fan of going to cemeteries. That's where our next article goes. Because I've always felt it was disrespectful. I mean, I did it. I did do it with original ghost hunting groups, but I'd be like, let's not go to the cemetery, man. There's people, find out about you traipsing around where they had their loved ones buried, asking questions. They're not gonna be happy. Yeah. Well, this is from tribelive.com. Trooper paranormal investigator reports voice coming from Fayette Cemetery, and the police found it unfounded. Paranormal investigator claims of hearing a female voice coming from beneath a pile of dirt in Fayette County Cemetery Wednesday, and founding the state police said, I think this was in Kentucky. Fayette, Kentucky. Trooper Jonathan M. Moiser reported he was dispatched to rural Evergreen Cemetery on Morgantown Road in Spring Hill Township just before 10 a.m. by an unnamed paranormal investigator who called 911 claiming he heard a female's voice screaming, "Help, help, I'm buried alive." Dispatchers told Moiser the unnamed investigator said the voice came from within a pile of dirt that was inside a shed at the cemetery. Prior to the arrival of the trooper, the man reportedly purchased a shovel and began digging in the vicinity of the shed where he had supposedly heard the female screaming. No female was located, and the trooper cleared the scene and continued patrolling. The brief incident report concluded. State police said no other information was available. But this is why, this comes out, and people are like, what is this guy doing in the cemetery? I mean, maybe, the creepy thing is maybe he did hear a voice, and he freaked. Yeah. But, it sounded like he thought it was a real person. If you are a paranormal investigator and you do feel like, I don't know if this is paranormal, if this is real, and it sounds like somebody's dying or something like that, then yeah, you probably going to have to call the cops. But this is why I don't like them going in cemeteries. It's just, people get pissed. It's like, hey, my grandmother and grandfather are buried there, and here you're tripping around asking for ghosts to talk to you. So, people get offended for anything. All right, let's move on. But, this one offends me because this guy really screwed up. There's worse things you can do than trying to talk to Kobe Bryant with ITC. Okay. Like a YouTuber who fakes his girlfriend's death and holds seances from unexplainedmysteries.com. The distasteful stunt began with Jason Ether. I don't know how you say his name, who has over 5 million. This guy has 5 million subscribers. Oh, yeah. I'm just jealous of him here. But I'm not going to do what he does to get 5 million subscribers. This is what he did. He revealed to his audience last week an emotional video that his girlfriend, Alexia Morano, who is also a YouTuber, had been killed by a drunk driver in a tragic road accident. He went on to take the deception one step further by uploading a video of himself using a Ouija board to try and contact the recently deceased significant other from beyond the grave. It didn't take long, however, for his viewers to figure out that something was amiss, and he was ultimately forced to upload another video admitting that the whole thing had been a hoax. This is what he says. I want to start by saying I'm sorry to Alexa's family, seriously, dude, for putting them through any hard times or stress about the death of their daughter, he said. I didn't intend them to get any hate or put them through an emotional stress involving Alexia. I expected all of this to stay on YouTube, and it didn't. He thought it was going to just stay on YouTube,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of the thought behind people when they do stuff like this. I thought of the idea of faking Alexia's death and then doing a thing on YouTube, thanking everyone and explaining to everyone it was just to gain traction. Well, that really that just makes it sound so much better. I did it to get viewers. I did it to get subscribers, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Disgusting.
So we're going to say she died, then do a Ouija board video, which we did do, and then we were going to resurrect her and get more followers. What the heck?
Jeez.
Oh my God! Everybody's worried about like YouTube taking their channels down. I think this is channel taking down noteworthy. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, YouTube constantly tells me, this video is not suitable for advertising.
Yeah.
And this guy's got 5 million subscribers faking deaths. I'm just saying. Okay, let's move on. We're going to run out of time here. This I thought was really interesting. I got this next one about psychic who correctly predicts when a teen went missing and would be found. This is from the statejournal.com. Much to the surprise of authorities in Kentucky. Oh, this was the one in Kentucky. We're Fayette. They always say it's Fayette in the last article. This is the one that was in Kentucky. Sorry, guys. Much to the surprise of authorities in Kentucky, a group of psychics were seemingly able to correctly predict where and when a missing teen would be found. According to a local newspaper, the strange case began back on January 13th in the city of Frankfurt when Haley Martin's father reported his daughter's disappearance to the police. Over the course of next week, attempts to locate the young woman proved to be futile, leading authorities to consider a more unorthodox approach to their search. Past Thursday evening, Sheriff Chris Quire visited Martin's home where a group of self-proclaimed clairvoyants had gathered. I love it, self-proclaimed. Had gathered, and who proclaims you a clairvoyant? I mean, besides yourself. Okay. Anyways, had gathered in the hopes of physically locating the team. While they were skeptical that the session would wind up being successful, the law enforcement officer explained that he went along with the idea because he did not want to leave any stone unturned. During the meeting, Cryer recalled most of his members of the proverbial psychic search party agreed that we would find Haley in a neighboring county by morning. Amazingly, the group's premonition turned out to be correct as police department in a neighboring county called Quires' office the next day to report that they had found the missing teenager who had actually run away from home that morning. It's hard to believe, the sheriff marveled at the remarkable accuracy of the group's prediction. And while the psychics might not have directly led Quire to where the girl was located, we're guessing that they just might have made a believer out of the sheriff thanks to the uncanny way in which their vision became a reality. But that, we had Robbie Thomas on that, does this stuff, and he's, told police somebody's going to turn up at this time or they're going to find a body at this time, but when police do go down this path, they're going to do it. They're going to listen to what the psychics say and see what happens. Nothing drastic or major happened, but when these psychics were asked, where is this girl? I mean, they're putting their names on the line with these police officers. Yeah. And so for these psychics to come together and say she's going to turn up tomorrow, people are like, oh, they could have guessed. Well, they could guess. They could have guessed wrong. What if she turned up dead the next day? Then they would really look like they got pie on their face. Sorry, I'm a big advocate for, I'm not saying police should just use psychics, but it should be considered when you've lost, in either that 48-hour crunch time and you don't have any other leads, then call the psychic that you've given you results, or a cold case that nobody's been able to solve, why not? The government uses remote viewers. I'm just saying. All right, we'll move on. This next one's a video. It's really, really short. Don't play it. Stores CCTV captures paranormal activity. A number of strange occurrences in an alleged haunted antique shop have been caught on CCTV camera. Formerly 19th century funeral parlor, Barnsley Antique Centre in South Yorkshire, England, has often dubbed the Britain's most haunted shop due to its eerie atmosphere and reputation as a hotbed for paranormal activity. A number of weird incidents that have happened here over the years has absolutely bizarre, said owner Daniel Parker, who opened the store in 2014. I'm naturally skeptical about paranormal activity and all that, but seeing this thing I've seen has forced me to think twice. I just stood still and things will start dropping off the shelves, which would be fine if it happened a few times, but it's all the time. People know about this kind of thing, think there are ghosts, spirits, and all sorts in the shop. Okay, so this did damage. It's one thing when they're dropping stuff off the shelves and that, but this is damage. Go ahead and play the video. It's really short.
Whoa.
Boom. It's busted out. Explain that.
Yeah.
Vibration. It just blew out that antique cabinet.
Yeah, that's pretty. I'd freak out.
I'd be mad. I'd be like, man, you gonna pay for that ghost? It just explodes it.
Yeah.
Jerk ghosts breaking stuff in an antique store. But it's a funeral parlor again. Why do they haunt funeral parlors? I don't get it. Your body was just prepared there. Doesn't mean you have to haunt there, right?
Was it just prepared or
right? What else happened in the funeral parlor? What the one thing I think is because it's that 3-day waiting period between the soul and the spirit and the body laying and waiting. Maybe it opens a doorway there. I don't know. That's where people say goodbye, and that opens a doorway. I don't know. We got to move on, though. All right. I don't know if I have time to read the whole article on this one. Darn it, run out of time. Thought this was interesting too. This show explain mysteries. Weird house with no entrance, no entrance to sell at auction. This is one of those things like, what's in the box? It's like, what's in the house? Very strange house with no doors or other means of access is on sale in England for a mere $130. Moving in. I can break it. I can make a door. Situated above an alleyway between two other properties in Westbitch. I'm sure I pronounced that wrong. In Cambridgeshire, the house is part a terrace of old buildings dating back to the 16th century, so it's old. Described as compromising of a single, currently unaccessible room measuring approximately 12 square meters. The particularly peculiar property has no door, no access staircase, and no other viable means of entering. The walls on either side have been bricked up, and nobody, not even the auctioneer tasked with selling the building, knows what lies inside or even how the large the space is. It's probably just full of cobwebs, said Victoria Reed of William H. Brown Auctioneers. It's certainly one of the weirdest ones we've had at auction. The house is due to be sold on February 20th with, like I said, price of $130. It could be yours. Just I have to put a door. I want to know. I hope there's a follow-up article eventually. Like somebody buys it and then they say, okay, this is what was in it, like a dead body. You know, I don't know. 16th century. How long? I want to know how long has it been bricked up, though. I mean, that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know how long has that been bricked up? A year, hundreds of years, 16th century. It can be bricked up for a long time.
Hey, honey, I bought us a house. We can't get in it, but
yeah.
Got to use a ladder and go in the window.
I got another one. This last one's from the same place, Cambridgeshire. This is from their actual news site, CambridgeshireLive.com. I usually explain mysteries, though. There's the source because they have a shorter version of it. I love haunted roads. Like, I love haunted locations and stuff, but like haunted roads. And I was actually on a haunted road once with a number of investigators and saw a full-form body apparition in the middle of the road. So I love the idea of haunted roads. I don't know why. It's just something about a ghost walking the lonely road, La Llorona, or the hitchhiker thing. I don't know. Something about it, but they took a survey. This is what it is. A new survey revealed a surprising number of British motorists who believe that they have seen a ghost. Poll, which was conducted by a car leasing firm. Why would a car leasing firm do this? Focused on car drivers across the British Isles who had at some point witnessed a potential spook while out driving the country roads. A total of approximately 13% of respondents across the UK as a whole said that they had seen something paranormal while driving, which breaks down about 15% of men, 11% of women. Surprisingly, the Great London area seemed to have the largest number of cases, with 36% of respondents reporting a road-based paranormal sighting. In Scotland, by comparison, the figure was 15%, while in New West England, it was 14%. Out of all those polled, approximately 36% said that they believe ghosts existed. If you analyze some of UK's most famous eyewitness reports, there are some really common road ghost tropes, said James O'Malley of the Select Car Leasing. You know, why would a car leasing? Was this like an insurance? It's really like, do we want to give our cars to drivers who believe in ghosts? I don't know. One involves a driver who believes they were accidentally collided with a pedestrian, only find a mysterious casualty never to be found, having seemingly disappeared into thin air. And you've heard those kind of stories. That's a real jerk ghost move.
Yeah.
Make you think you hit them with your car and then nobody's there. You know?
Prank ghosts.
I know. But yeah. Was it my show? I had a guest or somebody had a story about. No. I mean, I think there's one story. I might have been Art Bell, the guy who would see his aunt. Yeah, I think it was Art Bell. He would see his aunt. I think it was England. And he would see her at the cemetery as he was pulling in. Speaking of cemeteries, and like she would run across the car, and she did it like twice in 2 different years, and other people saw her. You know, something about ghosts on the road. I don't know. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird tonight. Our guest is Ananda Devi. I'm trying not to butcher her name. So for the show, I was trying to get that right. Ananda Devi. We're going to talk about transcendental meditation. Next week, we will not have a show. I have to work. So if anybody doesn't, sometimes I make this announcement at the end of the show and realize that a lot of people don't make it to the end of the show sometimes because it's late. So I'll make it now. So next week, no Paranormal Soup because I have to work. Actually, I have to work early the next day. That's why. You know, but only getting 4 hours of sleep is not the best for me. I already have to get up to get my son to the school the next day, but usually I go back to sleep. Well, that day I can't. So next week, no show. But we will be back in 2 weeks with Robert Kopke. I think that's just his name, near-death experiences. So I'm excited about that. So I'll be counting down the days to get back to you guys for that. All right. Don't forget, we are also have Patreon. Help us out, $2 a month. helps out the cost of the shows. This last year, we made enough to really pay for a lot of bills. So even with like the 10 to 13 people who have helped us on Patreon, thank you very much, because it does help pay the bills for us to stream out on StreamYard here. We can show your guys' comments because we have such an awesome chat room. And thank you to everybody who shares the show out. I know probably a low audience number tonight. Everybody's all tired from the Super Bowl, but join us in just a little bit. We're going to go deep into your mind with Transcendental meditation when we come back with our guest, Ananda Devi. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Bring life to the dead. 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 Enter the occult world of necromancy. You were brought here for one purpose: necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy, starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
The international chart-topping Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal,
and want to hear from leading researchers in the field? Join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS Ranger.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Ananda Devi. Ananda Devi was born in South Africa as a single mother with triplet teenagers. Wow, triplets. She lives in California. A spontaneous spiritual awakening in 2014 shattered her conventional materialistic existence as a daughter of wealthy Jewish parents. This culminated in her giving up her multi-million-dollar inheritance. In 2016, she met her life partner, Ramji. In January 2017, she emerged publicly as a powerful spiritual teacher. Her boldly honest spiritual autobiography, Intimacy with the Infinite, which was released in September 2019, describes the dramatic events and shocking changes that resulted from her enlightenment event. Though her book reads like a novel, she includes unique insights and valuable life lessons gained from her astonishing life metamorphosis. She has transformed the lives of hundreds of students around the world, many of whom have also achieved spiritual enlightenment. Along with her deep existential realization of love and unity, her presence conveys a powerful life-healing energy called Shakti. With her twin flame partner Ramji, who is 23 years older than her, she delivers the revolutionary Razatam, if that's how I got it, spiritual transmission, which accelerates the spiritual awakening process. Ananda's website, there I gotta butcher the name, is www.rasatransmissionsinternational.com. And we're hoping, I'm coming into the show here without a guest at the moment. So let's see. I'm gonna roll into it here in a second, but I got missing a guest. All right, so I got to see what happened. Usually, sometimes we keep the guest on during the World Wide Web Weird. Sometimes I tell them to join back because they have a link to join back. I need to check my email and see where she's at because I don't see she's joined. Oh, she didn't try to come on.
I did enhance that first picture a little bit and threw it up in there.
All right, we might get to that in a second here, but I want to see what happened. I can try giving her a call, but I got to find that email with her phone number. Let's see. So first time, never had a guest get back in. I don't think it would stop her. I had a phone number here. Oh, here we go. All right, well, let me see if I can call her.
The forces that be have deemed us no.
Yeah. Hopefully she's not having an issue.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice
not a good
message
sign
system.
ever.
858.
All righty. Well, this could turn into open lines. Oh, nope, here we go. Might have taken her a second.
Here, Jason. Can you hear me
All
now?
right. I hear you.
Hi, Rob.
I hear
Hi,
you.
Jamie.
It was like, oh, no.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for joining us. You missed, I gave an intro, a horrible one, because I probably butchered it, but I'd like you to tell the audience about yourself and your in the book, Intimacy with the Infinite. What inspired you to write this book and your awakening? How did that happen for you?
Wow. Well, I think my whole book really encompasses that crazy story, which culminated in...
Oh, shoot. Hold on.
That
was my fault. Go ahead.
Yeah. Jason, what really happened is I started as a teenager to have odd mystical experiences, and I didn't have a context for my experiences because I didn't come from a particularly spiritual family, and I'm a very practical kind of normal mother person. And but I knew something was strange, odd. And then as I grew up, and when I reached my 20s, or I would say, my early 20s, maybe a little older than that, I started to seek in earnest. I started to read books, and I just wanted to know what the nature of reality was. And at that time, other strange things started to happen, in that I started to meet people, just strange people, synchronicities, I guess. You meet one person and that person introduces you to another person. And lo and behold, I began to meditate, which I was very afraid of doing because I was a person who had suffered with sleep paralysis. In other words, can you hear me, Jason?
Yeah, I hear you. I'm relating.
Oh, okay.
Very much to what I'm really relating very much to what you're saying. I had great parents. I didn't have narcissistic parents. I had great parents that were left. I had a different experience in that I was encouraged, but yes. But when you talk about the fear of meditation and sleep paralysis, I had a shadow person experience is what I call it.
Yes.
And it started with it looked like sleep paralysis, but got something way crazier. And I feared meditation because of that.
Weird things that can happen in sleep paralysis. No, they didn't really happen to me, but I definitely knew I wasn't in my body. I knew that I wasn't my thoughts. I was in my body.
Right.
And it was actually super peaceful, but I was terrified. So I kept on doing everything I possibly could not to fall asleep, to the point that as a teenager, I just started to take sleeping pills, anything. I just didn't want to deal with whatever that was. And then later on, a person that I knew, a very good friend of mine, introduced me to her father. And that was a very odd meeting too, for various reasons. But he was the person who, after a couple of years, convinced me, listen, you need to meditate. So I went and did a TM course. One thing led to another. And almost like the second or third time I meditated, I was drawn back into that void, instant. And but this was different. This was just peaceful. This was a knowing. This was a unity feeling, and I just knew that there was really nothing much to know in a strange way. But I was aware. I was aware that I wasn't anything in particular, and I was aware that I was aware. And after that experience, that's when I hit those blissy moments where everybody blisses out and feels like they won with everything and everyone. And that was another shock, especially because I was pretty narcissistic, I think, myself. I'd been raised with everything. I had, I had parents who, they are narcissistic, but I wouldn't say they're complete narcissists. They're just not spiritual. So the feeling of feeling like I'm one with my neighbor is not something that would occur to the majority of people in the world. And so I just changed so significantly. And after that time, I started to feel extremely lonely. I was in a marriage for 16 years. I'd had my babies, they triplets. And so I was very busy and meditating and going through all of this. And then I decided, well, I need help because something's off, something's wrong. And so I decided to go on what I call a guru hunt, which was bizarre. But I decided, listen, I'm going to use my contacts because I have family contacts that would enable me to meet one-on-one with certain spiritual teachers.
You were looking for a master, basically, a teacher.
Know what? No, I was looking for a friend. I didn't feel that I was seeking anymore, because I had felt like I'd reached where I knew was where I had to be. Like I didn't think there was more to go, but at the same time, looking around and hearing the way consciousness was described, and I felt confused. So what I did was I went on a guru hunt, and for months, I just kept on meeting with teachers. I didn't stop. And eventually, and I resonated. They were amazing. I've always said, I mean, all of them had so much to offer, but that wasn't my guy. That wasn't my person. And then I met my twin flame. And that was bizarre too, because what happened was I'd read a book about years before, and his book was brilliant. The Awakened Heart by Ramaji was the book. And so I decided to look him up, as he lived here where I live in San Diego, and maybe I could meet him. And he wanted to meet me via Skype. But I was a spoiled person who could pay the full price for a session or 2 sessions or 9 sessions at once so that I could meet him one-on-one. And that's how I got my way. But as I walked into that home, that was it. I knew that this person was, and he's a lot older than me. So at that time I was what am I now, 47? So 4 years ago. We've been together ever since, and we met, and one thing led to another, and my entire life changed. Talk about the shit hitting the fan. I mean, when I say divorce, when I say everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. Every lie I'd ever told myself, I had to confront. And it hurt, it hurt me, it hurt my kids, it hurt his ex-wife. We made big choices to be together, to do the work we do.
Well, I want to get you were twin flames, that because people are like, oh, you guys met, whatever, but it was this instant knowing that you guys were connected.
Yes, more than connected.
A very powerful connection.
I knew things about him immediately. I knew about like relationships that he had with people I'd never met. I knew about the energy with him and his wife. I just knew I don't know why I knew. And again, I'm practical. I'm actually a very practical person who didn't believe in any of this stuff. I didn't even want it to be real. So, but it was very real. And so we started to be together. There was just nothing we could really do. And now we're still together. Now he's my life partner. And with that, of course, many, many people left my life. It was like a mass exodus. It was like looking at me like I'm like vampire, like, get the whatever away from me. But with that also came my work. So I was able, because he is a brilliant spiritual teacher, and he wanted me to teach beside him immediately. That was the first thing he said, which was also odd. And so we started to work together, and we've been working together for these years ever since. And, we help a lot of people now internationally. Yeah.
Now, did he have this like same knowing about you too when you guys first met?
I think he had the knowing. He says he had the knowing, but he's more practical. He's much older than me, probably a lot wiser than me. And it just took him a while to digest what was going on. It took us both a while, I mean, I am a loyal, faithful person with 3 kids. I didn't want my life to change. I liked buying shoes. I liked shopping with my friends. I liked having a normal, conventional life above all else. It was really unexpected. But I do see that the various incidences were just indicative of what was to come. Sometimes we have a purpose. And I didn't believe this at all. In fact, I didn't even believe in soulmates. Maybe you can meet one person and they can feel like your soulmate, and then you'll meet and date another person, and maybe I just wasn't the type of person to ever say these kinds of things.
Right.
Like you just know when you know. Yeah.
Well, you talked about things that led you up. I mean, you mentioned before you had these kind of mystical experiences. You said when you were a teenager, or does it go back to even your childhood?
I think so. I think so because of stories I've heard. But I'll give you a couple of stories. Like, for example, I was so loving. So we lived in South Africa. Now, if anybody's familiar with South Africa, it's very third world. It's dangerous, you know,
and getting more so.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually why I left when I was 26, and at that time. But when I was a child, we emigrated at one point and went to live in another country as a family, another country which had its problems. All the countries do. And so, for example, there was a time when my dad took me with my uncle to a flea market, a common flea market. We would go and we would hang out, and there were lots of people and all that. And at some point, I wasn't a person or a child to cry and get hysterical, but I started to say, we have to leave, and crying, I want to go home, I want to go home. And eventually they could not get me to stop, and they took me home, and then a bomb went off. It was a terrorist bomb.
My God. Yeah.
And lucky we had left that place. So I think I've always been an empath. In other words, I'm like a person who has a tendency to feel what's going on outside of me, and then I did some exploration more recently because I wanted to understand empathy more deeply. So I did some research, and it came to me that only I think 1 or 2% of the entire population is a real empath. Has these kinds of knowingnesses. It's for me, it's a knowing. It's like I know. It's not even.
It's instant. It's instant. It's instant knowing. You can't. It's not a person that came to you or a voice in your head. It's just a knowing. You sense that danger as a child.
Yeah, so I think that was one of the things. And then and there were a couple of things that happened that were similar to that. But then as a teenager, I was just a normal, wild, kind of rebellious teen. And then the sleep paralysis started, and that was, scary for me. And so I think that in itself is not 100% normal, although I don't even know what normal is anymore.
Well, that's the thing. And normal is perspective. You're from your perspective, somebody's weird, and somebody else's perspective, they're normal. So what you're going through, a lot of other people. I relate to the I had a lot of weird stuff as a kid, and then you hit the teenage years, and you just you kind of push that stuff out of the side. It's like you hit your 20s, and then you kind of open back up to it. And for me, it was 17 years old. I had that, like I said, the sleep paralysis, things like that. And what I related when you said it made you fear meditation.
Yes.
I feared it. Now I had a negative experience, it was something paranormal with the sleep paralysis.
Beings and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that whole instance of you call it like the void.
Yes.
That's what I feared with meditation. I did get into it though, because I wanted to seek the same answers,
Yes.
But I did fear it. Now there's meditation. What's transcendental meditation? What difference is there between somebody who just goes meditates and transcendental meditation? What were the differences?
TM, I'm sure you've all heard of Deepak Chopra and TM is when you get a mantra. So that you go and you do, it was a 4-day course, and you have a really great kind of instructor who tells you to say a few words in Sanskrit, and then because you want the mind to relax. So what you do is you repeat your mantra quietly inside of your mind. That way, every time a thought comes up, you ignore the thought and you just keep on saying it, a few words over and over and over again. But to be honest with you, I didn't enjoy the mantra at all. It was distracting. Yeah. I'm more of a breath person. Yes. So I went into my breath automatically. So I wasn't trying not to do the mantra. I just thought, I just started breathing and focusing on the breath. Now, an interesting thing with the breath, inner and outer, there is a gap between breathing in, breathing out. And if you can capture that moment with your consciousness, you can dive in almost like but it's not like you're doing it. You get pulled into something. And you just get pulled, and so you can either fight the pulling, and like I used to do, and just bring me back. I don't want to go to sleep because I know I'm not going to be asleep.
It's a similar feeling.
Exactly.
To the sleep paralysis. I see. This is why I'm getting. I used to experiment a lot. I said, well, what's transcendental meditation? I used to do. I'm not an expert. No.
Yeah.
You know, and I was self-taught. I was like you, reading books, and you know, I had there was a new age stores. I'd get advice, and I got in a lot of different. I did candle meditations, and I tried them. You've heard me butcher your name tonight plenty of times. I'm sure you'll hear it more.
I couldn't do
I couldn't do the mantra thing because it's words that aren't English. And I already butcher English enough, you know.
Yeah.
But the breath really helped. I felt like some of the really like intense meditations I have is just focusing on the breath in and out.
My latest,
and it's that feeling.
It's the feeling. But you see, there's some people can move outward. In other words, when you want to like astral travel, you're moving out of the body. But this is different. You're moving into the body. So it doesn't feel like you're going anywhere really specific, but you have no idea where the hell you are. But you know you're not anymore in your body. But there's almost like it's actually really disturbing. You know, a lot of people, it's peaceful as hell when you're in it. But when you think about it after the fact, you're like, oh my God, you know, like what, you know, what's going on? So, and so I was confused, to say the least. And then the bliss after that was indescribable for weeks. I was blissed out, you know, which of course is another state. And I'm not into states at all. You know, states are funny things. You have the state of fear, which is the one end of the spectrum. And then you have the state of bliss, which is the other. A lot of seekers, they are trying to escape reality because they're looking for a transcendental blissed out state, thinking that the state is going to last. Your states never last. There's no
it's just like a junkie looking for the next high is what I found. Exactly. Whereas a pure awakening is it transcends the need for bliss. The bliss is not needing it to be blissful. The freedom is not needing to even feel free. You're allowing whatever is to be what it is. And so, but a lot of seekers don't want that to be the case for a while. So it's a process. You know, they're addicted to their thoughts or their feelings about it versus their existential experience, you know. So they give away a lot of power to teachers and gurus and psychedelics and all that stuff. I'm not to say there's anything wrong with any of it. I'm just mean you are the power. And as soon as you can embody the power that you are, that's when it starts to show you how powerful it actually is. I can't remember the guest's name, Jamie or Rob, if you remember, tell me. We had one guest on here. God dang it, I feel bad when I forget a name. He traveled all over the world looking for the right guru, and got involved in, you know, all these different TM kind of, I hate to say it, some seem very cultish, you know, the way he went. And he got down to the point where it's just like, none of them have the answers for me. And the whole time I kept talking to him, thinking, I was like, because you were looking for answers from a person to give it to you, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to, you know, anybody's going to find an enlightenment answer from somebody else. I honestly don't.
No, you can point to what's within, but to ever pretend or to ever indicate or even give the slightest kind of like perception to a person that for whatever reason I have something you don't. So I'm in a higher place you are, and you have to get to where I'm at, is not the truth. The truth is there is no hierarchy.
We're all on our personal journeys, basically.
We all are 1 billion% a part of something way cool, you know, and we all have that power within us. But it takes time to I think people are, you know, we are so indoctrinated and we are so, I would say we're conditioned to believe that we need to get whatever that is outside of us. That to believe and just trust in our own selves takes an enormous amount of time, you know, at least with people I deal with.
Well, in America, I always say and I'm just as guilty as any other American, but it's instant gratification, you know.
Exactly.
We want it now.
Yes.
You know, we want the quick fix. We want it now, you know, and it doesn't work that way.
No.
It doesn't seem like that to me. I haven't found enlightenment.
As long as you think you want it, then again, you're going outside. What do you want? In other words, you can't get what you are. You can only be what you are. So the minute there's a feeling, I need to get this, you're missing. You have to be it. So
is it like being your true self? Is it like being true to yourself, basically? I mean,
you being your complete self.
I was really getting into, you have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And we'll make sure we get that information out there. But I was really getting into your Enneagrams videos. Yeah. Like, was it 9 Enneagrams?
Yes.
Am I saying Enneagrams? Enneagrams? What
the
is
Enneagram?
That?
Yes.
Enneagrams?
Yes, saying it good. The Enneagram system, it's a very ancient system. We don't even know where it even stems from. But there are certain psychologists like Fritz Perls, Carl Jung, and they established psychologies around the Enneagram system. So the way the Enneagram works is it's a system of fixations. In other words, everyone in the world has got an ego. And your ego is your fixation. Think about a circle, and it's almost like the line around the circle is the boundary, just like your body is the boundary for your consciousness. Your fixation, your ego is like the boundary for that part of you that is fixated on being a certain way. And everybody in the world has got an Enneagram number between 1 and 9. And once you understand your Enneagram number, and if you want, I can describe those in a little bit more detail. But
I totally do, because I totally was going through your YouTube channel, like listening to each one, and honestly, I'm like so like into it, listening to different descriptions. But the whole time, I'm like, I have no idea what I am. Is that common when people are watching these videos? Like, oh, I sound a little bit like maybe no, yeah. Like I could relate to some, and other ones no.
Yes. Well, I'll kind of go over it with you quickly. An Enneagram type 1 person is the perfectionist. Those people who always they will be on time. They are hardworking. They get the job done. They doers. They will always look perfect. They tend to be self-critical, and they tend to criticize the world around them. It's the worldview is kind of, the world is an imperfect place. I need to fix it. They fix things. But they're self-critical in a big way. The type 2 is like the people pleaser. Those are the people that are always volunteering. They always helping other people. Usually what they're doing though is they projecting their own needs onto other people, and they are using their people pleasing to manipulate. But that's the unconscious part of their personality, their persona. The type 3 is like the performer. America is a type 3 country. I am my car. I am how I look. And so the 3 is actually, thinks that they are the way the people that they're talking to are perceiving them. They don't actually know the difference between their image and who they are beneath their image. The 4 is the romantic. This is the person who tends toward feeling inadequate. Something's wrong with me. And they like to be unique, very creative people. Joy is always somewhere in the past, somewhere in the future. Freddie Mercury is like a 4. Van Gogh, artistic, beyond sensitive. They are very empathic people. The 5 is like the person who at school was the nerd, quiet, observing, studying, gathering wisdom, information. For them, information is power. They tend to isolate themselves. They feel like they don't want to be engulfed in the world by people. They like to be alone. The world's a dangerous place and I can be overwhelmed. Therefore, I'm just going to isolate myself. So the fear here is of isolation. The 6 is the loyalist. This is a person who has issues around authority. In other words, the different types of, like a 6 can either be a person who is always doing the right thing because they want to be the good Boy Scout or the bad Boy Scout in order to be accepted by the authority. So they will do whatever that means, or they'll go against authority. So they very much also like the legal mind. They tend to see all the different points of view, but very rarely have their own. They have a doubting mind. They're philosophical. They can even doubt their own doubt. That's what that is. The 7 is the person who's always happy. It's called the enthusiast. They're always jumping. I want to do this, and then I want to do that. And
those are the ones that drive me nuts.
Yeah, you know, I want to go crystal gazing, and I want to go see that guru, and then I want to go watch Jason on, you know, these paranormal, you know, and I want to be on
like
that,
them.
you know, but they don't like to just sit ever with anything that's not cool. You know, they don't like to feel uneasy, sad, or bad. They don't even, and they've got a lot of fear, but they are not in touch with that fear. The 8 is the challenger. These are like Donald Trump is an 8. Actually, I'm an 8. The challengers are people who they have a strong energy. They tend to project their energy outward. That when they're unconscious, they're not aware of the impact they have. They are afraid to be vulnerable, to tell people the truth about how they really feel. So they are always acting very strong, very tough. It's the boss. Another word for the challenger is actually the boss. They like to be the boss.
Yeah, Donald Trump definitely an 8.
Oh, he's definitely that, and they can be very, you know, they can be perceived as very insensitive, very strong. They, you know, bossy. Do this, do this, do this, and then the 9 is the peacemaker. The 9 is the person who always wants to feel peaceful. So they can be super passive aggressive. They don't want to feel uneasiness. They don't like conflict in any form. And so what the 9 usually does is merge. They merge with other people's needs. For example, a good understanding of a 9 would be a man who is married to let's say a woman who's an alcoholic. He's a 9. He is an alcoholic with her, and then she dies and he never drinks again. They so merge, they'll do whatever it is just to get along so that they'll be in peace. So everyone in the world, some one of those. You can be sure you're one of them. But when you understand it, that shifts everything. Jason, that shifts everything.
You know, some of those, what was it? Trying to think when I say I get them mixed up. How you remember all of them like that? You know, I know it's only 9, but there's subcategories to these too. Like it's not just your 9. There's a subcategory to it too, which I found interesting.
But it's actually much simpler than it sounds. So, for example, if you are a 1, okay, so you are the perfectionist. You can either be a self-preservation perfectionist, a social perfectionist, or a sexual perfectionist. So your perfection, your need for perfection will play out as in for survival's sake. In other words, I need to have all my needs met. And therefore, you'll be in the workplace, you'll be like the perfectionist. Socially, you'll use your perfectionism to fit in that way. In other words, you'll be the leader of a group and you'll be modeling perfection. That's kind of like the school teacher, the lecturer, the person who always wants to model this perfect example for the classroom. You know, many teachers are social perfectionists. And there's the sexual, which is always to do with relationship. I need to perfect my partner to make them better than they are. But the sexual one tends to not really bother perfecting themselves. So they're highly critical. But you see, when you know this about yourself, then your ego is no longer unconscious. You're no longer like walking around blind. You can see because we're unconscious of our fixation. And it's developed from childhood. It's not, it's developed from childhood.
It's like you're born with it. It's just how you learn to interact with the world as a child.
It depends on how you were raised, you know. So for example, for an 8 like me, I'm a challenger, right? So as a little girl, what I felt was I felt very small. And because I felt very small, because I had a very controlling father, he's kind of dominating, and a powerful mother, I had to get big to protect myself. So that's how, and so you develop a strategy for your own survival as a child, but you don't leave it in childhood. You carry it with you.
Me and my wife talk about this because we have a little pug. She's it's a little dog syndrome. Like, you know, like stay away from me. Like there's people like that. We've talked about there's people like that. You know, I guess that would be the number ones. You know, it's like they usually short, muscular dudes are like that. It's like they got to put off the scary. It's like a automatic defensive mode.
Yeah, the 6s as well. You know, you get those. authority, they go against authority. So the way they want to feel strong in their bodies is by exercising. They usually, the athletes, they do a lot of bodybuilding because they will move toward fear. So instead of acknowledging that it's the fear that's motivating the behavior, they move toward it. I'm going to be big and strong in my body.
Zach Baggins? No.
You know?
Sorry. It can't help you. You watch these videos. You guys go to your, what's your YouTube channel? Let's make sure we get that so people can check these videos out. To get more detailed.
Yeah, well, it's all on our website. What is my YouTube channel?
It's Ramaji and Ananda Devi.
Oh, it's Ramaji and Ananda Devi. Sorry, I didn't know the name.
That's
I don't
all right.
do any of the, I don't post. He does that. We have someone else doing that. Yes.
I like listening to you talk about it because one, I love a South African accent. I'm in love with your accent, so I'm like really into the videos and like hearing the different personality types. And when you hear it, you think of different people. You know, like, oh yeah, they're totally that. But that's the funny thing is when I'm listening to you talk about these, I can't identify which one I am. I can go, that person definitely is a 1 or this one's a 3. But I can tell you which one I am.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, you're coming across to me as somebody from the feeling triad. The feeling triad would be the 2s, the 3s, or the 4s. So, and you're a good dad because you said you're taking your son to school tomorrow morning, correct?
Oh yeah.
So you do a lot of helping. And so
my wife might disagree. I don't help enough.
Oh, you don't?
My wife does a lot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure she does, but it sounds like you're hands-on, and you seem sensitive. And you seem sensitive. So I would put you in the maybe 3 wing 2 or 2 wing 3 category. I think. I don't know you that well, but from what I'm sensing about you.
Well, it sounds like you have students, so you have a process to kind of, when you first meet a student, to kind of get to know them, to figure this out or help them figure this out.
Yeah, but I've worked with it for so long that I don't have to. It doesn't take me very long to know your type. Sometimes I'll argue with a student. They'll tell me their type. I'll say, sorry, you know, but then again, I'm bossy. So I have to contain myself. You see, I'm working as well on my own stuff and my own Enneagram type all the time. I'm very aware now of holding back, listening. I don't have to know everything. You know, 8s are such challenges. They always have to know everything. You know, and there are things about myself that I really, as a persona, as a personality, that I'm very aware I need to work on. So it's constant work.
One of the things you said that kind of resonated with me, and I don't remember, I missed which anagram. I can't remember which Enneagram, Enneagram, how do you say it?
Enneagram.
There's a point in my life where I felt, I just had, it was like that time frame, 17, 18, even in my really 20s, when I really started getting the spiritual stuff, where I felt like I've been this person that's only the reflection of what everybody thinks I am.
Yes.
Like I'm only being what they think I am, but this isn't who I am. Like I had like this total wake up call. Like I'm not this person everybody thinks I am. Like, oh, Jay, this, and, you know, they called me Jay back then. That's why I don't even like to be called, like, I'm Jason. You know, at my work, we have 3 Jasons. One goes by Jay, and I don't ever want to be called Jay, because back in that day when I was a teenager, everybody called me Jay. Mm-hmm. And there's this personality that everybody assumed I was this person. I was this crazy person, you know, like, and that's not, it wasn't who I am. Mm-hmm. And I just had awakening to it one day. And I'm like, this isn't who I am. I'm only being this way because that's just what they expect from me.
Because you were conditioned to be that way.
Right.
Yeah.
How that happened, I don't know, but I you know, it's just something. It was like when you said, I don't remember which one it was.
Yeah. 2. Well, if you are a 2, usually what happens with a 2 is they, at a very young age, they start to think that in order to be loved, I need to be pleasing. I need to do what is expected to help other people. So they help a lot. They want to be very, they're helping because they want to feel that they're indispensable in a way. You know, a 2's likes to feel that I want you to be happy and I want to be the reason why you're happy. And so there is pride, a lot of pridefulness with a 2 that I don't know if you're aware of. If you are a 2, your pridefulness, it may be unconscious, But if that's the fact, that's cool, because we all have our cross to bear and we all have an Enneagram type. So, and it's hard to look at, actually. It's not everyone likes to do this work, but if you want to awaken from your persona, you have to know what are the issues.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's like can somebody change an Enneagram in their life? Like change who they have, like when they would have it, they change like kind of a little bit of their personality change. I did. I had like kind of a personality change. I don't know for better or for worse, but
No,
I did.
Yeah,
because I had this awakening.
Your persona will remain your persona. In other words, a 2 will always have the same fixation. But what happens is you are completely self-aware too. So in other words, you will, before you just jump into, I'm going to help, I'm going to do, you learn to say no, you learn to stop, you learn to ask for what you need versus anticipating that everybody's like you and can intuit what you need, because often 2s wonder why is no one doing anything here to help me? I'm always helping everybody else.
See, I heard the 2 thing, and I still don't feel like I could be a 2 because I don't feel like I've ever been much of a big helper to people.
Yeah, so
maybe
you're not a 2. Maybe you're not a 2.
I don't know. It's hard to see. What would a person do on their own to kind of discover this if they don't have a guru like you or somebody to teach them?
I'm not a guru, but
I'm not a guru. I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever. I'm a mentor. But yes, you can go onto a free Enneagram test online, and it's called Hudson and Rousseau free Enneagram test. Hudson.
Writing that down.
Yeah. Hudson and Rousseau, Russo. Oh, you're so cute. All of you are writing them down.
Of course we're writing it down because everybody in that chat room is like, can you share the link to that? Rob, if you can find it, share the link in the chat. Because I tell you, everybody right now, it's like, what am I?
And it's
interesting. It reminds me when I was in my 20s, getting the spiritual stuff. You remember the Celestian Prophecy?
Yes,
books?
What a book.
Remember, they had they had their own kind of like classification. You think you kind of based it off of this ancient?
I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I'm astounded. I'm astounded that it's not used more. I often say to myself, how can a therapist not understand the Enneagram? It's like saying, how are you going to help a 2 and then think that the same method's going to help a 5 when the 5 needs to isolate and the 2 can't be alone? You're dealing with different personalities. So I find it fascinating. I just think that somewhere along the line, certain psychologists, it's because it tends toward the more mystical for whatever reason. But I think it's practical and wonderful.
But we're scientists. Nothing's mystical. That's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. And
that's why Carl Jung was into
it's,
this, and I'm a big fan, because he could expand his horizons beyond that, those kind of ideas.
Yeah. And then it becomes, just the way you raise your children becomes very much according to their type. You can't raise an 8 who needs to feel you, otherwise they won't respect you, the way you would raise a 2 who's going to be so sensitive. You start to recognize that everyone needs a different approach. It's not a one size fits all.
Well, that's what I say. If you do kind of like learn a lot about, Enneagrams, besides learning about yourself, it seems like you could use this to help relate best. Because that's what I remember from Celestian Prophecy. They were like, I don't remember it now. It's been years ago since I read it, but like this is how you relate because you do this. I remember reading the book. And I'll be honest, like I was really into it, but after putting Celestian Prophecy down, I'm like, I'd hear all these other kids that were into the New Age stuff in the 90s, like, oh, you're this, and they tell like, all right, I'm done with the book.
Exactly.
I'm like, everybody wants to, think there's some wise person because I read the Celestian Prophecy, and then I'm like, okay, I didn't read the book. I'm thrown away.
Yeah.
So I was like ashamed.
Yeah,
just people would be arrogant with it.
Well, again, people like to interpret the author's experiences as if that's like the milestone. I need to have that experience to be whatever they think they need to be, instead of understanding that the way it presents itself to each person is so unique. It's like a flower. A rose never says to a daisy, I wish I was a daisy. A rose is happy to be a rose and blooms when it blooms, and a daisy blooms when she blooms. And, it's like, it's just like we look at nature and we can understand that the fact that we are unique. In other words, our awakenings are going to be unique. And they're going to come in very different ways for each person. Just like for you, you had a form of an awakening or maybe a complete awakening. I don't know. But whenever that happened with your sleep paralysis and then the beings and that whole, all the alien stuff that's going on in the world.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, there's an alien aspect to my deal too. I've discovered more recently.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I call it, people are like, oh, you had a demonic experience. I'm like, no, I don't classify it as that. It felt alien to me, interdimensional.
Yeah.
I don't want to just, yeah. You talk about that stuff going on for the Enneagram. So you say it's ancient. For everything you do, the transcendental meditation, does it have what is? There's a religious background to what you do, or
Absolutely not. I'm anti-religion.
Yeah,
If you to tell you the truth, all religion does is cause separation. My God's a better God than your God. No, we all one thing. There is no separation. Separation's an illusion.
Yours is more about knowledge and inner discovery.
Yes, absolutely. The Enneagram is from, they think, Mesopotamia, but I can't give you a direct response.
That'd be really ancient.
It's really ancient. It's really ancient. No one really knows where it comes from, and it's really brilliant. So I do recommend. I always tell my students, part of their homework is find out your type and explore it in depth. We're going to get past the type anyway, because ultimately that's not who you are. But you're going to remain feeling stuck if you don't know what your fixation is, how you're fixated.
You say it develops from early childhood. I mean, the question comes into my mind because I'm a Gnostic. I question everything, but I'm not an atheist. I believe in an afterlife, and I've had too many experiences.
Yes.
But I've had intense. 2 intense dreams in my life I've talked about on the show that I just felt like complete memories of past lives.
Yes.
Does this play a role into this at all? Do you have that belief?
It can. My partner sees past lives. I don't. So it's not something I don't see past lives. I have enough issues in my present life to have to now start worrying about my past lives. But he does, and he's seen a lot of my past lives as well. So that's not an area I'm that familiar with in that, but I think we've all had countless lives, that makes the most sense.
Well, the reason I wondered why I've brought him up on the show before is that both of those dreams explained a lot about things in my personality that seem to be ingrained in me from my earliest memories.
It could be that too. Yes.
So that's why I wondered, I can definitely see from a psychological perspective,
yes,
the Enneagrams being developed from a child's, you being an 8, living in the family that you did. That seems very logical.
Yes.
Let me ask your explanation of it.
Do you come from a big family, lots of siblings?
No.
Okay. Were you an only child?
Yes.
Okay. And do you feel, are you peaceful? Do you like peace?
Yes.
A lot, huh? Have you ever been one to delve into psychedelics, marijuana, anything like that?
My mom's watching. No, she already knows. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So you could be a 9. Now, what a 9 did, in other words, what a 9 does is merge. In other words, what they feel as children is, in other words, your parents can decide, let's do this, let's do that. And for the sake of peace, they go along. They feel that they need to go along, go with the flow. So often they move from the center into the periphery, what's outside of them. And they can tend toward needing, in other words, sometimes losing touch with who they really are. What do I really want and need? Often you'll say to a 9, let's go to a movie. And I'll say, well, what do you feel like seeing, Jason? And you'll say, I don't mind. Let's just go see whatever you want to see. I'm easy. What do you feel like eating?
I feel like I do that a lot with my wife.
Yeah. 9s do. So maybe you're there.
Yeah. I listened to your explanation of a 9. I thought that was one of them that could be possible, but I don't feel like I'm like, some of the description, I don't feel like, I have a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
So I'm not peaceful.
I
want peace, but I am very anxiety. I have a lot of anxiety.
Okay. And are you aware of it all the time, or is it beneath the surface?
I it'll be beneath the surface, and then sometimes it's right above. Like I'm totally aware of it. I'm actually more aware of it in the last few years. Actually,
Well,
maybe that's
then-
my own inner awareness lately.
Yeah, maybe, but then usually a 9 won't want to feel that. So then we can.
I don't want to feel it.
No one really does. But a 9 will literally deny it. In other words, they will deny it exists. So maybe not a 9. But anyway, I think once you do the test,
That's what I need to do. I've
you'll
heard
do the
you say
test
these
and
things.
you'll
It's like,
get a
well, I
very
don't.
clear understanding. And it
Yeah,
doesn't mean there was anything wrong with our childhoods. Well, our parents did their best. We could have the most wonderful parents. It's just, we are people. So, and we've all been conditioned in some way to become the way we are. And we've all had to adjust to feel safe.
Yeah. I know if there's anything that conditioned me as a child is I had a deadbeat father that took off when I was 2, never saw or heard from again. I know I've looked deeply with myself to know how much that affected me, is made me how I am, not trusting people,
Yes.
Yeah.
And anxiety usually points towards the type 6. Because the type 6 then feels a lot of anxiety. The 6 feels tends to view the cup as a little bit half empty. In other words, if I were to say to you, let's go to Costa Rica, you could name me the 3 diseases you could get from mosquitoes.
That is me.
There you go.
That is me. They're all boys. They know too.
Go wrong,
Yes, that is me.
Yeah.
That is me too.
You're
Down
a
to the
type
T.
6, pretty much. Yeah.
All
As
right.
soon as anxiety is mentioned, then I know that it's usually the 6. And so you'll learn a lot about understanding your fixation, where that anxiety comes from. You have to meditate, by the way. For you, meditation's a must. Separate yourself from the doubting mind.
Well, you said you started you getting into this when you had triplets.
Which part?
With the meditation. Because tell me how you meditate with triplets, because I can't do it with a 4-year-old and an 8-year-old.
So hard, I know.
God.
It's almost impossible. But I would say to you, even if you sit at wherever for 15 minutes a day, and you go sit in your car, and you do what I call the bullshit meditation.
You
sit quietly, and everything's bullshit. Anything that comes up, bullshit. Just get to a still point and hang out there.
I usually nail my guests for saying cuss words on there, but I can't help but loving your voice over and over again. I love your voice so much.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
all right.
not allowed to say that
Well,
word.
we just try to. I keep things in a traditional.
Okay, yeah, I
PG-13
like traditional too. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Yeah.
But I don't mind your voice saying it. I really don't.
Okay, thanks. It's funny.
I've been trying to get him to do at least 5 minutes of meditation.
Exactly.
I recently, I think I talked on the show before. I've gotten into, my wife has always been into, I wouldn't say Wiccan, but paganism rituals a little bit. And I got really involved in one lately and another one recently of doing it and doing the ritual. And you have to focus and meditate. And I was like, God, I really miss this. I really miss that feeling that I had I was doing the ritual, which I loved setting it up and doing all that. But when I got down and focused on a candle burning and meditating with it, I was like, wow, I miss doing this. I really do.
Yeah.
And it's taking that time to get there. Sometimes it just feels like I can't because of the crap from the day, you get to get home and it's just I can't even get my brain to shut up.
Yeah. But I would say to you, try it even if it's start off by 3 times a week. And eventually it becomes like brushing your teeth. You're just going to sit for your 15 minutes, especially if you're a 6, because you see the thing is that's why you're anxious. It's going to give you a separation from your mind. And once you have that, then you will be able to absolutely see how, the mind's just doing all this, but yet I'm not my mind. And you'll be able to establish this gap, and it won't bother you nearly as much.
Well, when you say that's that's one of my thoughts I've had in my head is I need to get away from myself, from my own brain, I can't get away from my own inner voice. Won't shut the heck up.
And understand your fixation.
I got a few, but I can have anxiety about all kinds of things. You can ask Jamie and Rob. They've heard it.
All 6 do. You're not alone.
My wife calls me a worry wart.
That's a 6. All sixes.
You know, my mom's a worrywart.
Yes.
Unless my wife says, Mom, sorry if you're listening, but my wife thinks you're a worrywart, and I get it from you. Sorry, don't want to give a mother-in-law.
Anyway.
Yes, but she says, you get that from your mother. You're a worrywart. Stop it.
Yeah. If your dad was like that, what happens when a 6 is a young boy is you are attuned to danger. So you learned to be very perceptive at a super young age. You're very perceptive to people's expressions, what's going on around you, what can go wrong so that I can be in the right space to remain safe. And that's how your fixation became. So it's very important for you to see that, guess what? That was then. Now I am safe. My childhood's behind me. I'm not in danger anymore. And you can kind of educate yourself to remember that there's nothing really going wrong right here, right now. It's just the fixation. It's the way we get fixated.
We got to go to commercial break. And there's one thing I have to say about that is the only differences with that is that I felt like I wasn't a 6 like this when I was a teenager.
You
know what I'm saying? When I was a teenager, I did so many stupid things, and I didn't think about the future or care about crap at all. So we'll get into that. We got to go to commercial break though. Really into this. All right, guys. When we come back from commercial break too, we'll open up the phone lines if you want to call in. Don't try to call in and see if she's going to know your Enneagram right or anything like that. But you can ask some questions, might help you figure it out on your own. But I'll give out those phone lines when we come back from the short commercial break.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're going to go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college. I've got a family to support and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
For every Earthling who's ever dreamed of adventures beyond the stars comes the astonishing story of one who made it, Alex Rogan.
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Sur and the Kodan Armada.
Of all the life forms in all the galaxies, one has been chosen to be the last starfighter. The Last Starfighter, with the film of the #1 hit Do They Know It's Christmas, the official Band-Aid story. In the West End and across London now, rated PG.
I've never met a dead person I didn't like. It's the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift. A refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
This is pitiful. 1,000 people freezing their butts off waiting to worship a rat. What a hype. Sound like they used to mean something in this town. They used to pull the hog out and they used to eat it. You're hypocrites, all of you. You got a problem with what I'm saying, Larry? Untie your tongue and you come out here and talk, huh? Am I upsetting you, princess? You know, you want a prediction about the weather. You're asking the wrong Phil. I'll give you a winter prediction. It's going to be cold, it's going to be gray, and it's going to last you for the rest of your life.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Ananda Devi, author of Intimacy with the Infinite. We are talking about transcendental meditation, enneagrams, what kind of person. I guess I am a 6. I'm definitely a 6, which does have a paranoia or anxiety. That is me. Worry, and all. So it's interesting to learn these. Like I said, she has all these videos on the YouTube channel where she goes through the different 9 types of these Enneagrams, and I was totally sucked in. I'm totally into this conversation tonight. And if you are, and like I said, if you call in, doesn't mean we're going to figure out your Enneagram tonight, but she might be able to give you some advice to how to figure that out. There's 4 ways to call in. We got her on video call, so all the phone lines are open. You can call in at 219-230-4444. That's 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419. That's 260-225-9419. Or by Skype, you can call in audio only. You can call in at OO-J-Bland, OO, or Paranormal Soup, J-Bland. Those are the 4 ways to call in. If you call in, you'll hear us talking. Just wait till we call on you. If I hang up on you, it's because I got somebody else on the line. But the lines are open, so go ahead and call in. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. There we go.
Am I back?
You are back.
Cool.
Now we're, I definitely probably a 6 that I'm hearing. Now there's subtypes to this. So like if I was a student that came to you and you're like starting to feel me out, you're like, okay, I think you're a 6. What would the subtype? I mean, you talked about there's 3 subtypes. You said, right?
So, for example, let's work with you, Jason.
Let's go for it.
Okay. So, if you are a self-preservation 6 is your anxieties around survival, money, having all your needs met, that kind of thing. And so usually you will be the good boy scout. What you tend to do is you tend to honor authority. You want to do the right thing to get along with people. If you are, and usually the self-preservation 6 are super warm, kind. They just want to be liked. They want to do the right thing because they want to fit in. And that's how it works with the self-preservation 6. The anxiety is about, obviously, in other words, you feel that if I don't do the right thing and I don't follow the rules, I may not get my needs met, or I may not be loved. So you do that in other words, so that you will be loved. You'll do the right thing. Follow authority. The social 6 is more can be more intellectual and more aloof. They are very, very philosophical. They have all 6s have a doubting mind, but this doubting mind is, they will think themselves into a position and then they will doubt their own conclusion.
Yeah. I question everything is what I always
say. And then they question the conclusion that they can be indecisive. In other words, they will come to a decision about something. They will question whether that decision was actually the right decision and then do the whole process over again. And so they are also the types to follow a hierarchy. I need to get to sleep on time, do this in the morning, or get to work on time. Germany.
A habit? Being creatures of habit?
Because that makes them feel safe.
That's totally, yeah.
If they're following the rules, they feel very safe, but they question authority.
But they're my rules. You said question authority, because that's what I say. I've always been a person that totally questions authority.
Yes. So the social 6 is questioning authority. So they're not going to be like the self-preservation 6 who just follows regardless in order to be loved. They'll question the authority. Yes.
That sounds more like me.
And they've got a legal mind, so they can see all the different points of view, but which point of view is my point of view?
Right. Okay. That really, I'm really feeling that.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that. Yes. That's totally my brain. Yeah. Literally, I feel like that's how I'm wired.
Yes. And in a relationship, if you're a sexual 6,
That sounds so bad. Sexual 6. I'm sorry.
No, just
I'm
remember,
a child.
Yes. Sexual, it just means relationship. So in other words, I could call it a relationship 6. So sexual has nothing to do with sex here. It's interesting with the sexual 6 because you would sometimes not think they're a 6 because they won't admit, aren't conscious that the anxiety and the fear is motivating their behavior. That's what I said. It's like the bodybuilder or the athlete who's feeling very strong in their bodies and they tend to be intimidating. You know, those people who just seem intimidating? Mm-hmm. They come up to you, they're in your face, but actually it's fear and anxiety that's motivating that. So in a way, it can be a little weird with 6s in that you can think that maybe I'm not a 6 because I don't feel scared. No, you do. You're just a sexual 6 who is completely unconscious of the anxiety, whereas the social 6 is more conscious of the fact
totally
that
conscious of it.
And we'll talk about it all the time. And then the self-preservation 6 is just doing whatever they can not to feel that anxiety. In other words, they're going to follow all the rules just so that all their needs will be met so that they don't have to feel anxious about having them.
I can think of some people who are definitely the sexual 6, and that's the opposite of how I feel I am, because those guys, I say guys too. They remind me. I talk about it as the guys. You ever been at a bar and there's the guy that gets a little bit of alcohol in him, and he's got to pick a fight with somebody,
Yes.
That's what it sounds like a sexual six is to me. Like they got to get in your face, and
So
then they
what
drive me nuts.
Yeah, a sexual six is counterphobic, completely against authority, rebelling against it. Don't tell me what to do. You know,
I'm not that way.
Yeah, even if the person's like right, you know what I mean. So they can be difficult. The sexual sixes. My ex-husband was a sexual six.
So I'm more. I definitely, out of the three, I definitely, just listening. He was talking about the social six. That sounds exactly like me. So, we got somebody waiting on hold. Just wait on their person. We're right there with you. But I'm sorry, I have to find out about me. But so a social six, where would I go with that? Like, what would I do to learn from that? How do I go deep into Jason? I'm never going to hear me say third person again here.
There's such a great book to read, and it's called The 9 Lenses on the World by Jeremy Hagner. Yes. The 9 Lenses on the World. Once you know your type, everything about your type is in that book, man. I mean, it will lay it out there, and it's brilliant. There are so many Enneagram books, but this one I love the most because it's recent. He's a great writer, and he really gets it. The reason I sound very, I guess the word is, like almost like an Enneagram expert is only because I work with people and this all day long. This is what I do.
Right. It's your toolbox, basically.
Part of it.
To help people. Part of it. It's a tool in your toolbox, basically.
It's a tool in my toolbox. It is. But it really is to help them help themselves.
Right.
Because I
can
could
see
not
that.
do the work for them. But usually if there is something bothering them, it's usually related to their fixation. For example, if a 5 feels very lonely, isolated, and doesn't understand why they're so isolated, and yet just doesn't want to be around people, they're not yet conscious of the fact that they can feel so overwhelmed. They tend to hoard, they tend to view information as like, it's almost like what a 5 does is they are using information instead of interrelating with people. So they have a relationship with information and experts and knowledge instead of interrelating, so they can feel lonely. You see, so
it's all of our ways of just basically our pacifying things that use us to pacify ourselves, the way we relate to the world. Is what I'm getting.
Yes, exactly. We need to know it, like know thyself. And this
that's why that's why I would really, when I started watching your videos on the Enneagrams, I could see, it's like I did really want to know which one it is. I saw somebody comment in there. I missed the comment in the chat rooms way ago, but they said, "Can you be more than one?" And I know that feeling because you're listening. When I first started listening to videos, I'm like, "Well, I'm a little of this, a little of that." But when you nail it, I definitely more and more feel like. So eventually, you can only be one, right?
Yeah, that's a really good question because we all have all the types in us. That's why we can all relate to a little bit of this, but we have one fixation.
Well, I like to speculate and think, but I mean, the whole past life thing, maybe you're 6 in this life, but in a past life you were 3. They're all different lessons in how we relate to the world.
Maybe.
That's what I was thinking when I was watching your videos.
Yes. And depending on the parents we're born to and all that, yes.
Right, that condition you.
Yeah.
Because we'll get to my kids and how I don't want to condition them. Maybe you can help me with that. But we got some waiting on the phone line here. I don't want to make it wait any longer. 423 area code. Who do we get?
This is Heidi.
Hi, Heidi. How you doing? Thanks for calling in.
You're welcome. And how is everybody doing tonight?
Doing good. You having a good Groundhog's Day?
Yes, I am.
That we're living the same day over and over again.
And listen to y'all.
Well, do you have a question for our guest tonight?
Are y'all doing readings?
This isn't readings. No, she's not a psychic. She is a transcendental meditation mentor. Would that be the best way to? How would you put yourself?
I would say I don't teach transcendental meditation, but I am a spiritual life coach.
Spiritual life coach. That's the right word. There we go.
I was interested in that book that you was mentioning. Could you repeat the name of it?
The 9 Mirrors. I think that's
The 9 lenses
I
on
don't
the
know.
world.
The 9 lenses. I wrote mirrors on here. Lenses.
That's okay.
Right. That's what happens. Right.
Lenses. Okay.
About the
And
Enneagrams.
Yes.
And can you go a little bit more in depth of the book and what it portrays?
Well, the Enneagram book is portraying the Enneagram, everything you need to know about it. You're including, once you know your type, you will then discover everything you need to know about your type. But my book is not about the Enneagram per se. My book is about my story, really, and what I gleaned from various very peculiar life experiences.
Okay. And I just came in on the end of this. And what is the name of your book?
Mine is called Intimacy with the Infinite. Intimacy with the Infinite.
Intimacy with the Infinite. Okay. Thank you. That's all I wanted to know. I just wanted to. I caught the end of it, and so I was trying to figure it out.
No problem. We'll share links in the chat room here too for the books and
Yeah, that would be great. That would be very
it's
helpful.
actually, if you're on the Facebook page or YouTube, if you go to the description of the show, you should find her website link there in the description, so you can get right to it from there.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Heidi, for calling in.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Heidi.
It happens when you have psychics on a week
Yeah.
over the last few shows. Really, is there reading tonight? No, not a psychic tonight. But you know, somebody could actually, if you thought somebody was like as good as you as with Enneagrams, they could probably use that, make somebody think they're a little bit psychic by getting like, I bet you feel like this, don't you? Once you figured it out, you know.
Yes.
Once you figured out, you know, their method. Now, you know, you talk about your book, Intimacy with the Infinite. You know, having the awakening that you did, why write the book? I mean, just to share with the world, or to kind of piece it together for yourself? I mean, what was the purpose of you writing the book?
That's a good question. Twofold, I think. The one purpose was to, well, a few things. I think the main reason I wrote the book was to kill a few sacred cows with regards.
That sounds kind of bad.
With regards to spiritual awakening. I'm very Zen-like, if you were to describe the way I teach. I'm a person who loves Zen. I love the direct approach, practical, say it like it is, the truth.
Right.
And so my book was really to help any seeker, regardless of where you are, note that whoever you are and wherever you are along this path, you already are exactly where you are meant to be. There's you don't lack anything. And I really meant it also to empower people, anybody, to know. Because if I could awaken like this, then anyone can, in my opinion. And if you are brave enough and courageous enough and open enough to really go there, to really dive in, to really discover who am I?
Know thyself, right? That's what it seems like. You know, the importance was, I thought the Enneagrams was important. I really got sucked into it. It's like, I lately in my life, in the last year, 2 years, I mean, maybe even since I started doing the show, which is almost 5 years, I started looking at the way I react to the world and my anxiety issues, which I honestly, like you said it's something that I've always been, being conditioned, but I felt like it came upon me probably when I first started to get married. You know, when I got, you know, when I met my wife and got married and grew up, became a big boy, you know, that's when it started to hit me, the anxiety. And then when I had my first son, you know, that was it. Like the person I was when I was, you know, 16, 15, 14, 13, that kid is so long gone. And it's not just it's not maturity. It's definitely not maturity.
Yeah.
It's anxiety, then the fear I did not feel as a kid.
How honest you are. Yeah, you know what? Well, parenthood is such a big deal. All of a sudden, it's no longer about little me. I have, a mouth to feed. I have somebody. I mean, it's strange because the love you feel is so beyond unconditional. But at the same time, along with that love comes from there's a sense of, well, I've got to get my shit together here, And I think all parents feel that on some level, but you're still a 6, dude.
Yeah, I mean, but there's got to be phases to these personalities, because that's how it's like. I just think the stuff I did as a teenager, everybody does.
Yes.
It's just like the way you change. That like you settle into this. I'm guessing. I don't know. Like I said, I'm totally a 6 now.
Yeah.
But if you'd asked me when I was 16,
masking it, and you had less to be concerned with.
Right.
So, yeah, and but that's all normal. But remember, you're not born with a fixation. It's a conditioned way you respond to your own survival. And there's no right or wrong. In other words, Jason, your 6ness is what makes you Jason in many ways. It's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with it. Just become more self-aware. In other words, it's not who you actually are. It's the way your mind is conditioned. What I do is not only Enneagram work. It's actually awakening people way past their fixation.
To break them free of it, right?
I'm freeing them of it. But in order to do so, they have to know what that is. Because often they're wondering, why am I not awakening past this? And that's because they don't even know what it is that they need to awaken past from, And so that's part of why I use the Enneagram as one of the tools.
Well, for you talk about having an awakening, and all the outside things that probably went crazy with divorce and, the craziness in your life. But when you talk about having an awakening, how did that change you inside? Like, how did that change your perspective? Like, I mean, knowing your Enneagram is one thing, but like, did it change you? Like the way you feel and your perspective of the world, like how you interact?
Completely. Before I was a little arrogant 8 who thought that she knew everything, was bossy, entitled, and narcissistic. And when I woke up, I realized that the actual little me, that fixation, is not me. In fact, I share. So what really happened is my heart opened. So compassion came up, more than compassion, a deep sense of connectedness to people that I'm around and that I meet, and a lot of shame for the past. Some of my behaviors in the past also came up. I had to really own it, own my stuff, own, the way I behave, like forgive myself, in a way. But my presence became my foreground. In other words, that sense of awareness that you discover in the void, like, oh my God, I'm just aware, and that means that everything else that I perceive around me to be other than me, which actually isn't other than me because it's all part of me, I'm connected to everyone else's essence. So the sense of being separate was sucked out of me. I know, does this sound like I'm making any sense?
Yeah, no, it totally sounds like you're making a lot of sense, because I've had those, like I said, I experimented with meditation and that. I remember we were talking about that in between the breath, where like you dive in. I had one instance where I was meditating like that.
Yes.
And it was just like you said, in between that breath. Now, I've had out of body experiences before, and like you said, maybe astral projection, but this was like, I hopped into almost the only thing I could describe as like a lucid dream.
Yes.
Like I wasn't in the bedroom I was in.
Yes, you were somewhere else, and you were aware you were somewhere else, but you knew that you were there, but you didn't know where you were.
And it was like the most peaceful
place,
calmest, relaxed feeling, and I was just there breathing it in.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the surroundings looked very magical around me, I couldn't tell you total detail of them because I didn't care. I didn't even care about the beauty around me. I just was in this moment with everything.
There you go.
And, and just that one time happened to me.
Yes.
Just that one time.
Yes.
And it felt like I was chasing it, and I kind of lost it, like trying to get back into meditation, like trying to get back to
That's so common.
one point. So I've always, when I've heard junkies,
Yes.
I've known them throughout my time, sadly, talk about chasing the perfect high.
Yes.
I felt some people must be doing this with meditation, because I felt that for a moment, and I couldn't get back to it.
Well, yeah, they're chasing a state, and then you feel like I've lost it. And that means I've got to do something else to get it. And that keeps you on a hamster wheel, seeking for what you are. Again, it goes back to my first statement. You cannot get this. You have to be this. So you drop everything that you're not, one step at a time. You get stuck because you don't know yourself well enough you see the mind, the nature of the mind is to think, to compare. And it's useful because we need it to pay bills. We need it to read a book. We need it to study something new. It's a great tool, but you're not your mind. So you have to, because you're sick, specifically because you're addicted to the thoughts that are causing your anxiety, you need to create a gap. And once
I'm addicted to my anxiety.
You're addicted to your mind, like most of us.
It's like I feel like I can't let go of the worry.
Exactly.
Because I'm going to let go of the wheel.
Yes. But that's so common. I mean, it's everyone, really. Especially in the West, where we're all just so consumed with being busy all the time and reaching some point in our careers and feeding the family. I mean, it's never end. It's like a never-ending story. But you're not your story. So therefore, what are you then? That's the big question.
Well, when I had that happen to me, I was in my 20s. I definitely was not as aware of myself or who I was back then. But it kind of, like I said, it threw me off my meditation cycle. Like I couldn't, I had trouble because I just felt like none of the thing I'm doing here is what was that, nothing has ever tamed that back. I've had weird experiences meditating. I did candle meditation. I saw, a demonic face in the candlelight that scared me. Like I've had some experiences of meditation, but that experience, it's like I want that again. And
drop that thought. Don't meditate with it leading anywhere. Don't effort. In other words, you don't need an end result. You're going in like a purity. I just want to be still. I'm just going to be here with myself.
And that's what I enjoyed recently when I was doing kind of the ritual. I didn't. That's what I enjoyed about it. I forgot how much I enjoyed that, but it got ruined by that one taste of whatever that was. So that's common. That's common to happen like that.
Common, yes. That's why people keep on going to the next guru and doing the next thing and the next candle and the next crystal.
I get it. I get that.
Yeah, this is never enough. Just being me is never enough.
Well, so like in that moment, was that me feeling my true self in that moment that I felt that bliss?
Tell me something, Jason. Who are you being now? Are you being your true self?
I think so. I feel like I'm always more my true self on this show than I am in my everyday interactions with people.
Well, what's wrong with your true self right now?
Nothing. I enjoy it. I enjoy being myself on the show, but I feel like I can't. I feel like I can't be my true self because I weird people out, in everyday life.
You're weirding anyone out. I think you're great. You see, that's your own story. There's something wrong. I need to be different. So just let that go. That's what I mean. Embody what you are. There's nothing wrong.
I do. I swear more over the years. Everybody at my work knows what I do, and I sometimes can't help talking about it, but I still get that like, oh, okay, you're weird reaction from people, and then I tone it back down.
I don't think you're weird. I think you're awesome. And what's more is you're very in touch with yourself in that you're honest and you're being authentic. So much of this is about being able to say, I have anxiety. You're a real person. You're a real person with authentic issues that come and go. So what? Why is that a problem?
No, well, everybody knows me as a worry ward at work too. So I share my anxiety with others.
I love that. I share my anxiety with others too, and my tears and my happiness and my everything I share. Sharing.
I don't hide it.
Nothing to hide.
That's why I'm considered the worry word. We got somebody. We got a couple people calling in. I better get to the phone lines. I'm getting sucked in here with you. We got Zach on the phone. How you doing tonight, Zach?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Did you have a good Groundhog's Day?
Well, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow to the same day. So, but it was pretty good. Kansas City won, so I'm pretty happy. So
I had no idea. She was rooting for the 49ers, right? So Zach, you're just rubbing it in her wounds right now. All right, Zach, you got a question for our guest tonight?
Yep, I have two, but I'll keep them nice and short. Hey, Ananda.
Hi.
So my first question goes along with the Enneagram. I hope I'm pronouncing it right.
Yes, you are.
Does really where someone fits on the Enneagram, does that correlate with the different personality traits that you find in signs of astrology? Why or why not?
Ooh.
I often think to myself that there is such a correlation, but remembering that the Enneagram is so ancient. Now, when you're looking at astrology and you think about the certain planets, for example, Pluto is kind of like the underworld, secrets, darkness. Saturn's like limitations, kind of like our body. Venus is about joy, love, bliss. Mars is aggression, sexuality, vitality. Does it all tie in? Absolutely. Everything does tie in with everything else. I would say your astrology chart is if you understand astrology at all, it's very telling. And in a way, it will be able to show you where you will have where you may have obstacles that you may need to overcome in the same way that your Enneagram might. Interestingly. I hope that answered the question.
Okay. No, that definitely does answer my question.
Yeah.
My second question is, I think you mentioned earlier that throughout somebody's life, they can definitely jump from different points on the Enneagram.
Yeah.
But my second question is, can somebody actually jump from one end of the Enneagram to another based on certain situations? Like me, for example, I work for a delivery company and I also own my own business. When I'm at my day job at the delivery company, I mean, I've had people tell me that I can go from 0 to 60 if somebody doesn't do their job right. But
angry. When
I'm at my business, though, I'm very calm, relaxed. Some of my customers tell me you look like a guy that has no worries at all in the world, and it's like, no,
you wish that was true, right?
I'm definitely good at hiding it. I wish that was true. Yes. So anyway, that's just my second question that I have.
What happens is when you work with your Enneagram type, wherever the point is that you are, for example, let's say you're an 8 because you get angry easily. You are conscious of your anger. So, and in other words, you can access your anger energy easily. It's there. So if you, in other words, the 8 moves when they're conscious of their way of being, they move towards being a 2. In other words, they're less narcissistic, more people pleasing. It's less about me, and it's more about service. So as you become aware, each type has a kind of way, a point that they move toward as they progress, as they become more and more self-aware. So yes, both were excellent questions, by the way.
He always has excellent questions.
Yes, excellent questions. In fact, most people that I know are not smart enough to put the Enneagram with the astrology, but I think about that often myself.
Well, I was wondering it too, is, there's the subcategories. I mean, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I'm like, no, it ends up being more because there's the 12 astrological signs. And what I was thinking, and Zach, hang on, because I was thinking about this earlier. If, we're conditioned, we have these 9 Enneagrams from being conditioned from our parents. Well, the astrology kind of is from birth. That's no matter what, you're what the astrology is, because that's set by the stars, by your date of birth. So that it could be a little of both. Like one is your set pattern. Maybe you're reincarnation's journey, and the Enneagrams are kind of how you are conditioned by the world around you.
Yes.
After that point, like you're set up. I'm a Gemini. I'm set up for this, but this is how this Gemini is going to relate because of all these factors that happen in his life.
Yeah, well, there you go. What's so interesting about being a social 6 and a Gemini loves to communicate. A Gemini can be two different things, see two different things, see all the different sides of the really be mediators kind of thing. And then you can see as a 6 how that is similar. You see what I mean?
Yeah, very, very similar. Yeah, exactly. Because I was thinking about the similarities between the two. One I'm born with, because I can't change that I'm a Gemini, but the other one's conditioned. Well, Zach, again, excellent questions. Thank you for calling in, bud.
Thank you, Zach.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, Ananda, for answering my questions. Greatly appreciate it. Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Good
bud.
night, Zach.
Phone lines are still open. Oh, here's somebody else calling in. Remember, there's multiple ways of calling because I had to hang up on somebody. If I hang up on you, you can try the other line. There's the 230-4444 or 219-230-4444. That's full right now. You can call in at 260-225-9419. Just hold on till we get to you. We got another call, though. Let's go ahead and get to him. We got 405 area code. Who do we got?
Hey, Jason. It's Tyler. Just want to say what's up. I love you guys. Jason, you're just like me. I'm so glad I met you in my life, man.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know what I'd do without you guys. I feel like I met you with somebody in my past life,
Maybe.
But I always see the numbers 7 and 2, and when certain situations are happening, like my integrity or whatnot, does that correlate with the number thing? If that makes sense, man.
You feel like you're a 7 or maybe a 2? Is that what you're saying, Tyler?
Yeah, because I'm I go 0 to 60 sometimes, just like Zach. If something's not going right, I'm like, man, I'm tired of that. Come on, man, I'm doing at my job now, so.
So a seven was resonated, and so did a 2. Both resonated with you.
Yeah. And I feel like because also my birth month is 7, and
you just like the numbers.
July
22.
Cancer.
Yeah, and the 22. They just follow me everywhere I go, and it's like telling me that's who I am or something.
No, it's not who you are. It's just your persona. It's your personality. In other words, you see that the thing not to do is to let it define you, or to be concerned about it in any way. Instead, just let it. It's a method to become more self-aware. For example, if you're a Cancerian, that's saying to me immediately you're very sensitive, which is why you came on the show and immediately started thanking Jason and everybody else here, because you feel connected, you're grateful. And these are such incredible Cancerian qualities, probably close to your mother or were. My thoughts were maybe if you were a 7, 7s are just the most wonderful type. 7s just like to be happy. They don't like to be bored. They like next. Like, don't want to be bored. I want to do the next thing to keep myself happy. If you're a 2, you just want to please people. You compliment people. You want to always make people feel good, which could be what you are. I don't know you yet, but again, I would just do the test and see what resonates most with you.
I'm so excited to do it. It's just, because I'm like Jason. I didn't know who my dad was until I was about 21 years old. And then come to find out, we did lineage, and we found a picture of my great-grandfather, and he was a clergy for the Confederate Army. And he pretty much buried the dead most of his military career. And so I'm like, whoa, that's just like, everything just, the enlightenment's just hitting me. And sometimes it's just so hard to take in, but it's once you've kind of found an identity, not knowing it feels good.
But like she said, was that or Zach, Tyler? Well, yeah. What would for me, like, as being a 6, like, I want to let go of it. I don't want to be the anxiety filled worry wart. My kids tell me I'm a party pooper. My son calls me a party pooper. It's the worst to have your kid tell you that. I don't want to be that. And that's why lately, in the last couple of years, I've been more self-aware of who I am. I didn't know about Enneagrams. I've heard of them, but I didn't know. But the reason I'm interested in it is because I want to discover how to let go of it, because I don't want to be this. I don't want to live with anxiety like this. So Tyler, you find out which one you are, 7 or 2 and 8 or 9, fine. But if what I'm getting, Ananda, sorry, I'm horrible.
Ananda, you did it right.
I did. Say a second guess myself, right?
Yeah.
What I'm getting at this is that once you discover it, you got to let it go. You got to go beyond it.
Work with it. Remember that you don't want to let all of it go, because some of it is just so good. Some of it is. I love 6s. You're logical. You get the job done. You're great mediators. You're not like in the clouds. You're able to see both sides of a situation really well. There's so many positives too. It's just the stuff that really burdens a 6. Just like for me, anger is my stuff. I get angry so often. So my kids will say, stop getting so angry and you're so controlling, is what they used to say. So I've learned, I don't need to control or can't control anyone really. And my controlling was really about my stuff. It was because, it had nothing to do with them. It was about me.
So it's learning about you. I guess playing. I always say this at work. Why I put people in certain roles at my work is I play to their strengths. So you want to play to your strengths and get over your weaknesses, I guess.
Oh, you will not believe how this helps you with people at work. Because again,
I can
they
imagine.
can do things that are really, certain people are very good at certain, like for example, in 8s, I'm not very good at like details, but my partner is a 5 and 5s are like every detail, like they cross their eyes and cross their T's and dot their I's. It's detail oriented. I wouldn't even think of the details. I'm like, just do. I just want the big picture. 8s are big people. So, you get to understand this about yourself and about others, and then something clicks.
It sounds like. Well, Tyler, thank you for calling in, bud.
Thank you, Tyler.
It just clicks, and like you just said, my mom noticed that like when I turned 32. I'm 33 now, but when I was 32, she said something changed about you. Like you're mature. I'm like, that's pretty cool to hear that from somebody that's known me all my life.
It is.
But thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I love your show, Jason. Keep up the awesome guests. These topics help us out, man. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, Tyler. You have a great night, bud.
Tyler. What a nice
Bye,
man.
Jason.
But you say how you could help you interrelate with people at work, right? Play to their strengths. So you give a 5 the detailed operation. So you use that in life besides mentoring, spiritual life coach, but in every day outside of that, you're using that to kind of relate to people.
Yeah, I do. I do. Yes, but my life's I'm a mom first and foremost. So, with my kids, especially now at 17, they're all 17. So you can imagine how the controlling age,
I'm dreading it.
Can't control anything. They're
I'm dreading teenage years.
Doing their thing. And it's like, oh God, and so, yeah, it's really helped me.
Except I'm glad I didn't have a girl. I wanted a girl, but I'm glad because I worked with teenage girls. I'm glad.
Yeah,
with that.
Yeah, I got 2 boys, 1 girl. So.
That's what I said. I wouldn't want to deal with the teenage girl. I had to work with them. No, not fun. I don't think I could deal with it. But I dread the teenage years. Well, so your kids, are they 8s or did you influence them differently?
I have 1 8 son, 1 6 son, and 1 5 daughter.
So they're developing this by the world around them.
It's fascinating. I can see how. For example, I can be so much.
Yeah, you've been at the very moment of their beginning of their life. That's why I'm wondering. You know all this information.
And it's like
your children from day one.
I was so engulfing that my daughter needs to isolate so much. You know, it's crazy, you know. And then my other son is, he gets anxious. He has anxiety. He's a 6, very sporty though, keeps himself busy. And then my 8 is the challenger like I am. So he just meets me head on. It's like he has to feel me, you know, so we can go at it. But that's the only way he's going to respect me. Because if I just back away, he's going to walk all over me and then some.
Well, what I worry as a parent is like my wife says, you're a worry just like your mom. I don't know if my mom's a 6, but she's definitely a worry wart.
Yeah.
And I'm not blaming her. I feel like it's been ingrained in me once I turned matured. It just really hit me. Yes. But you know, I'm worried that I'll pass that to my children, both of them. I don't want them to live in anxiety like I do. I don't want them to be a worry wart like me.
You've got too many great qualities. You're funny. You have a sense of humor. You care and you love them. That's what you're giving your kids. We all have a personality. So forget. I mean, if we can't live our lives concerned that, you know, we're going to affect our children necessarily badly unless we really are terrible parents and not aware and not conscious and don't help, you know, and aren't there for
You're a parent though. You've had every parent I know have had this moment in their life where like, I'm off.
Oh, they know
every parent has.
Oh,
you know,
Jason.
And it's usually that negative aspect of yourself you passed on.
Oh yeah. And I see some of the things I've passed on. And I'm horrified that I passed them on. And sometimes I apologize. I say, guys, listen, I just want to say, before I understood this, I'm really sorry for how I was before. Because, you know, I only started to like awaken 4 years ago.
Right.
So you're just really lucky. Your kids are still young. So you're coming into this with so much of a greater consciousness.
So what's your advice to me as a parent?
Love as much as you can. And remember that it goes like that. Give as much love as you can and be honest about who you are. Don't pretend. You know, I think the worst thing as parents we can do is to say, if you feel anxious, say to your children, you know what? I love you so much and that's why I'm so anxious.
I do talk to them about my anxiety.
I've
been honest with them.
You know, the more honest you are, then you're becoming human to them. You're not, you're not pretending to be something you're not, and then they'll feel they can't be honest with you. They're
right. Oh,
yeah. As you know. So
my worst fear as a parent is that they're going to grow up the teenage years. When I get there, they're not going to want to talk to me.
Yeah, they will. You talk to them. Give them what you want to get.
Yeah, I can see that. I like I said, I'm trying to teach them love. I'm trying to teach them stuff, but there's the negative aspects of my personality that comes out, and that's what I fear affecting them.
Yeah,
I don't want to condition them into something.
Is that everyone's got negative and positive, and that they can embody and embrace and be honest about what they perceive to be negative, which actually isn't really negative. It's just that you're perceiving it that way. And it's very normal for all parents to be anxious on some level. You know, it's just be honest. No one's perfect.
Yeah,
what does that even mean?
But I think of all the things my sons accuse me of being why I'm a party pooper. Because I won't go to the beach with my wife and the kids because I fear water and I can't watch them do it. I can't do it. I can't watch them go out in the water. I can't do it.
I know. I get very worried. My boys play football.
Okay.
And the coach told me I'm not allowed to come to the games. I was actually, I ran onto the field once to try and protect who was being, I'm an 8. So I'm going to go and now beat up whoever's tackling my son. And so I was called off the field and told I'm never allowed to return to watch a game.
Oh my God.
I was like banned, you know. And I worry, but yeah, so it's just, you say, you know what, I have a fear about water. And so I please just tell me after the beach. I just want to know you guys are okay. And try not to focus too much on what you're afraid of.
Not to focus on it.
Yes.
I'm trying to be aware of it because I awareness
is not focus.
Well, why I'm doing something because, I'm doing this because I'm totally have an anxiety about this is what I'm trying to realize. Because the anxiety can be totally subconscious at first, totally like, I don't even realize I have anxiety.
Yeah.
And then I realize, why am I doing this? And I realize the worry's there.
Yeah. What's really good for 6 to do actually is to have a journal where you write what you're grateful for, because you find that in a state of feeling grateful, feeling love, you can't experience dark and light at once. So in other words, the feeling of being very grateful is going to mean the anxiety is not there. So remind yourself in your mind, what am I grateful about? And oh, wow, they can swim already and they can already, there's so many things that we just don't focus on because we're so used to focusing on what can go wrong, and move your thoughts. You're in control.
So that's what I do, though. I'll think about what I'm grateful for, and I'm like, dear God, I don't want to lose it.
Yeah.
I start thinking about the ways that can screw it all up.
That's such a 6 thing. I speak to a lot of 6s. So it's you're good.
Are there certain in that 9 number fields that are just, they're never going to, because this is one of the things, the feeling as I've, throughout the years, I've always had a wonder about reality. And I mean, I've seen stuff since I was a little kid. Like you said, you have mystical experiences. I had a lot of weird experiences, but what's always got me about people and society, and so many people, it seems like they don't have big questions. They don't think about the things, all the stuff we're talking about. Like, it boggles my mind. Why doesn't anybody else think about this stuff or care, or think about the afterlife, or think about, wanting to discover, who really am I? Have I lived past lives? Maybe not. Is there a heaven or hell? Who am I really? So many people just walk down their lives and don't even give it one thought or care. And it just boggles my mind.
Well, that's because everyone's at a different level of consciousness. Your consciousness, a level of consciousness, it's like clarity. In other words, most people are driving blind. It's like you're born with exactly a clear windscreen when you're born. And then you get a name and you go to school and you're conditioned by society, your parents, your friends, wherever it is, your culture. And your windscreen gets filthy, basically. It gets riddled with beliefs, thoughts you have over and over, the way I should be, shouldn't be. And what happens to some people like you is you start to yearn for some clarity, like, who am I and why doesn't this feel right? And so then what you do is you start to do some meditation, to see a few teachers. And what happens is you want the clarity. And so part of what we do is we help establish clarity. We help clean the windshield of the car so that eventually your consciousness is higher, clearer. It doesn't mean my consciousness is higher than the next person. It just means I'm a lot clearer than the next person. But most people don't have a high level of consciousness. It's low in the world. That's why you see people that are wars and hating each other, and this one against that one. To me, that's just a low consciousness.
Well, it boggles my mind. Okay, if you're a person that believes that there's no reincarnation or no afterlife, then this is the only life you have. Fine. Then why do you get involved in all the bullcrap that you do? You know what I'm saying? Then life is really short. That kind of person I don't get. Just as long as the people who believe there is a reincarnation afterlife, it's like, or why don't you dwell more deeply into it? It just seems like I'm not any better than anybody else at all. But why is it that so many? I mean, everybody in my chat room, I think, is somebody who's questioning what reality is and delving deep. They come to the show for that. But everybody else, I think everybody in the chat room can agree with me. Around them, a lot of their family members and people they're just like you said, they're driving blind. They're just going with
blind. But they're not even conscious of the fact that they're driving blind. And that doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong. So the most important thing I think to do is to just honor everyone's process and understand that everyone's going to awaken. Just like a flower blooms, a rose will bloom at some point, but it's not going to necessarily bloom on the same day in the same way as the daisy, or with the same amount of water and shade.
Or this life, because I'm telling you, these people are never going to.
In this life.
That's what I'm saying. It's what it seems like.
Next time,
some people might be on a different time scale, like different. This life, they're just not waking up.
Oh, I ask myself that question all the time. It's like sometimes I am blown away by the level of unconsciousness. You know, you see it with our leaders. I mean, you see it in politics the most. It's like, I can't believe that people debate these things.
Well,
you know,
that's what I'm saying. You know, I don't get it. I don't do political stuff.
no,
on
me
the
too.
show.
I'm
I don't,
apolitical, but thank God I'm apolitical.
well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I when I was younger, when I was in my 20s, I got really political. I got really mad. You know, like, why is everything so screwed up? Working with the Libertarian Party. Eventually, I got to like, everybody sucks. Everybody's horrible.
Yeah.
There's no fixing this with politics. There's
really
none.
confusing. It is. It is.
And then that's when I started asking the bigger
Those
questions.
questions. Yes.
It's like, so it's, you know, you wonder if, like, you know, some of these top talking heads one day are going to reach that style. Like, imagine Rush Limbaugh on air going,
that would be
I've had reached enlightenment.
It's happening in this lifetime, maybe. I don't know.
Never.
But you never know.
You never know. You never know. What that's the thing though. It drives me nuts. It's like, you think as a society, it doesn't feel like it. Not lately, but do you think at some point we ever like more and more people will be open to this kind of concept?
I think we are living in a time where there is a mass awakening taking place. I mean, otherwise there wouldn't be channels like yours.
I hear that. And I get that.
People listening to you. You know, it's just that unfortunately in the area of like politics and people that are powerful and I don't know, they seem to be a lot more unconscious, and yet they're making the rules and that we're following like sheep. And so the only people that can really make a difference to change is us.
Speaking out.
Waking
up. Not politically.
Waking up.
Waking up. Yeah, that's what that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I wish I had the Jim Morrison thing here. It says, wake up! Because that's what I want to tell people. It's like, wake up.
Exactly.
All right. We'll talk more about waking up here. We're going to go to our last commercial break. And the phone lines are still open. 219-230-4444, 260-225-9419, Skype ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. Call in after this commercial break. We'll bring you on. Have your questions. What kind of type you might be. I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
The international chart-topping Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest, the true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
Phantasm, the film that puts the fun in funeral. And as for a fiendish story, it does have a burial plot. Come prepared to scream, because if this one doesn't scare you, you're already dead. Phantasm from Avco Embassy Pictures. Rated R under 17, not admitted without parent.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, The Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
New from Mostly Healthy Foods, Orange Flare Orange Juice. Every glass has a ray of sunshine.
Wow! It has a ray of sunshine in every glass? Father, can I have some?
Sure, son. My God! My face is melting!
Every glass has a ray of sunshine! And yes, it's also a tasty beverage and a high-energy plasma. Sweet Mother of God, close the damn carton! Oh, how am I still alive inventing this horrible product?
My body is riddled with tumors and the energy to play.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42.
42?
Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is, it's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Ananda Devi. She's the author of Intimacy with the Infinite. We've been talking about Enneagrams, Transcendental meditation, how it affects your life, mass awakenings. We need a mass awakening. Is that what we're going through? It seems like something's awakening in the world. There's growing pains, things being revealed that never been revealed, weirdness. Maybe we'll get into weirdness a little bit too. Maybe we are having an awakening with all the UFO and alien stuff happening. She mentioned that before, and we'll get into that. But the phone lines are open if you have a question tonight. 219-230-4444. That's 219-230-4444. Or you can call in at 260-225-9419. We also have Skype ID OOJBlandOO or Paranormal Soup JBland is the other Skype ID. Call in. Just wait till we call on you. Answer who you know. Have your question ready to go. But let's go ahead and get back to our guest. All right. Thank you for sticking with me this late at night. Of course, it's not as late for you as it is for me. But
it is really late for you.
Yeah, but I'm used to it. I sit up worrying.
Yeah, that you're not going to be on time.
Right.
Yeah.
I am one of those people that show up early too.
Mhm.
Yeah. I worry about that stuff.
Vigilance.
So like, all right. So I'm supposed to, as a, learn about what a 6 is like. So I delve deep into that, but I should love the stuff that's good about a 6. But what should I do? What is it that I really do with the stuff that isn't so great about the 6, like the anxiety?
You separate yourself from it. You see the gap.
The in
That's
between
my
breath.
real work.
He needs to catch himself.
You need to catch yourself in the habit of thinking and recognize that you're just creating a story that you've identified with and drop it. In fact, don't even allow yourself the luxury of believing it.
My worry, my anxiety.
Correct. No, the thoughts that you are creating in your mind that are leading you to the anxiety. Your anxiety isn't just coming up, it's related to your thoughts.
It makes me think of, we had Lane Delphine, I think it was her name. She was a dream analysis.
Mhm.
What makes me think of, she kind of pointed out some of the same things that you're telling me in the dream analysis, because she was talking about one of my reoccurring dreams is I'm in a car and I can't see very well in the car.
That's crazy that I just mentioned that about driving. Yes.
Right. And I can't see and I'm driving. That's what made me think of it. And I do this thing where I just, in the dream, I let go of the steering wheel and I just hunch over on the seat and just wait for the accident to happen.
And what happens then? You wake up.
I wake up. And she says, that's your, that was, you can't let go of your anxiety or fears. That's your dream trying to tell you you have to let go.
Yes. You have to surrender. You have to release all that resistance. What you're talking about is resistance. It's like we're all driving a car on a freeway and the car is going around on a road and the road has got many twists and turns. We don't know what the next twist or turn will be. That's the nature of life. And we're all driving with our foot on the brake. That's our resistance. It's like we just can't just let go and let the car go. And so what we do in my work is we slowly are helping the person in front of us release their resistance so that eventually your life, which is a grand trip, really, that you should be enjoying with all, it's your birthright to be happy and enjoy your trip. And so you start releasing your foot from this brake and slowly but surely you become free. And you can drive without the concern and the worry about an accident.
Well, it makes a lot of sense to me because I think I've been thinking about this a lot recently, actually, is that if I think about the things I'm grateful for is like having my children and my wife is like, I'll look back and go, but did I really enjoy the moments I'm having with them?
Yes.
No, I did, but I didn't because my mind's off somewhere worrying about something.
Yes. That's the nature of the mind. Yes.
And that's what I want not to be because I want to enjoy what I have. I want to, and I'm not
being more present.
Yes. Thank you, Jamie. It's being more, I feel like I've lost that moment. It's gone because I wasn't present enough in it because my stupid brain was off worrying about something stupid.
Yes. But you see that's what I mean by catching yourself in the process of I'm having these thoughts again and letting it go, not allowing yourself the luxury of believing them. Your presence is always here now. You couldn't escape it if you tried. There's nowhere to go. It's the mind that is taking you out of the sense of being present here now. So the minute you can find that gap and you can see how what your presence is doing is it's identifying with the string of thoughts, which is creating the emotion attached to the whatever it is that you're thinking, you just pull yourself back right here. What's happening right now?
And that's why meditation is important.
Yes. For certain types, it's more important than others.
Really?
For me, it's important because I'm an 8. For you, it's important. For people like 9s who are just pieced out all the time and they naturally use meditation and spirituality almost like a narcotic because they can't really dive into life. They don't want to be in life. They want to kind of be merged because that's their nature. So for them, actually, a really good meditation is sticking to your list and getting things done, and not sitting on the couch and watching Netflix. You see what I mean? Every time.
I'm guilty of that, man. But
yeah, exactly.
a lot of times, you know, as I've gotten in life, like I have kids are asleep, my wife went to bed, I can watch TV, do what I want, and I never ever pick something. I sat there either on my phone or I just sat there spacing out because I just lately I get in a funk. I don't even want to watch anything.
Yes,
I don't even want to watch anything.
good. It's okay to space out. To do, I call that the do nothing meditation. You just hang out and you just observe and watch your thoughts come and go. Watch the colors. Notice.
Yeah, I get I get that. It's just I guess what I'm getting at is I'm trying to learn, like you said, I'm trying to catch myself doing it. But more, like I said, for me, that's why maybe the meditation sport, because I always find it in hindsight. Like,
yes,
I was totally not there. I was totally not enjoying that moment with my family. You know.
Yes, that's how it starts. But that doesn't mean how it has to be now. You know, forgive yourself. In other words, you know, a lot of the times we give ourselves such a hard time. Oh, why didn't that? I wish I could have done. Forget that. It's done. It's the past. The mind is also the past. The mind keeps on regurgitating things that have happened in the past, and then you're reliving them now. It's like, okay, you don't have to be worried about the moment you missed with your son last week because it's done. It's finished. Start. You always start here.
Right.
And let that go.
I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to keep myself enjoy it. I recently did. I sat back. I'm like, I'm not thinking about this. I'm enjoying this moment with my child, watching a movie, you know.
And it's really, you know, it's a big practice for parents because we're so busy. It's a never ending, you know, we're always caring for somebody else and worried about them and doing so much. So it's important to have balance in your life. Time out.
This is my time out. I started doing this show 5 years ago. You know, I got to a point. I had a major scare, medical scare, like I might die, you know, kind of thing. And it changed. And I was like, I have to do something for me and to get out be me, you know, like basically be me. Cause I'm not me at work. You know, I'm me with my wife, you know.
Yes.
You know, but that's it. You know, I don't have any friends outside of work really, you know, so this is why I started doing the show, to be me. And it's a weird feeling when I do this show that I have, like from everyday interactions. I come on the show. It's like when I'm here on this show, I'm in that moment. Like it's such a weird feeling to describe compared to every during the day, and my brain's off a million other places, but I'm on the show. I'm like, this is me. Like I'm totally free of all that other junk.
Because this is your passion. You followed your bliss. This is what you really enjoy. And when people do that, they lose the sense of I'm doing this and thinking about it. They're just in the moment.
Right.
And that's the trick.
Like I get guests, and I think you were one. You sent me a list of questions. I'll have them, and I always end up ignoring the questions.
You don't have to
in the moment.
I'd make your life easier.
Well, you know, people ask me, well, you know, or have had guests ask me, or like, oh, you have my list of questions. I do, but this is I'll probably never use them. And
that doesn't bother me in the least.
But but the thing is, what I always say to them, I said, don't worry about it, because I've always looked at it as this is me and you sitting down having a conversation. I just met you, and we're going to talk, because that's what I enjoy. Because I can't talk about this stuff with people at work.
No.
Right, and that's why I do this.
I'm lucky my work is dealing with people.
Right.
So I'm always talking about this kind of stuff with them. But so maybe you could find work where you can do this more often, because this is what you enjoy the most.
Donate, people help. No.
Yeah.
This is if I could do this for work, that'd be great, because this is the only time
what you love.
Yeah, it's because
I'm really good at it too.
Well, thank you. But this is, I would drive one of the reasons is not to drive my wife nuts. She loves this stuff too. I'm very lucky to have a wife that's open-minded and into the spiritual and paranormal. One of the things I'm very grateful for. But I could drive her nuts with it,
Yeah.
So that's why she's supportive of me doing this show.
Yes.
It takes the burden off
other
her.
people to discuss it with other than her. Yeah, and moms need their sleep.
No, right, exactly.
Yes.
One of the things I wonder is when you have a lot of people you meet, and you kind of start feeling them out, like, what way can we approach to help them, to learn more about themselves. Do you get people that confuse the heck out of you, like with the Enneagram thing, like it takes you a long time to pin them down? Like, is there certain ones that just remain mysterious, like
Not
you
really.
can't figure them out? No. Why do you think? I mean, everybody falls into this 9
I
kind of
don't know.
category.
They just do. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, it's remarkable. In the beginning, though, yes. In the beginning, I mean, sometimes I can get confused. Sometimes I can think, because there's certain similarities, between two
Right.
types,
But you mentioned that in the videos.
It's about listening. If you're listening closely, for example, I was listening to you. You mentioned anxiety, and that was the dead giveaway for a 6. And so once you start listening, you pick up certain ways and energy, the way a person feels when you're around them. And you
say you're empathic. So I mean, is there a feeling like that too? And like you said, an energy feeling?
Yes.
You just walk into somebody, they haven't opened a mouth. Their mouth hasn't opened, and you're like, you're a 6. Like, or you're an 8.
Yes, I do have a sense. Yes, I have a sense.
I get that around people. Like, I almost know how somebody is just by the feeling of them in the room with me sometimes.
Exactly. It's an energetic sense about a person. It's almost like their soul is saying one thing, and then their personality is giving them a little bit of a hard time for whatever reason. But my immediate sense is that I'm connecting with their essence. So I'm connecting with a part of you that's a part of me. So when I help people, the thinking is not the thinking, but the sense is, who am I really helping here? Because if we connected, which we are, even if we live on different continents, I'm always helping a part of myself, and that's just the knowingness. So, and I think that's something that most people don't understand universally about themselves or about others, that there is the real joy and the feeling, the reason why you feel joyous when you're doing this work is because you are helping and sharing. And whenever you look at nature, and I talk about this in my book a lot, you start to understand the universal flow. In other words, everything in nature is sharing. In other words, the water drops from the clouds, and then it shares, the water shares itself with the crops that then grow, and then we eat the fruits. And the cloud gets plump with all the water vapor that arises. So everything's like a constant stream of sharing. When you understand that flow, you can see how we have a desire. Desire is what motivates people to do whatever it is that they're doing. It's desire, which is Shakti, which is why we do what we do. Correct?
Right. That's what Shakti is?
Shakti is like the divine feminine. It's the desire. It's your life force. It's another word for it. Shakti.
So I don't know if you see my shirt. May the force be with you.
Be with you. Yes.
Yeah,
well, the force is you.
I always joke with people. I always say, what's your religion? I'm like, Jediism. I even answered that on a census before.
But to what I was saying, just so you get this on some level, the desire is always there. We can't help it. From the minute we wake up, we desire a cup of coffee or whatever. So it's the desire to receive, which is why we do anything in life. We're all desiring to receive something. But it's the consciousness around your desire to receive is for the sake of sharing. So the minute you're tapping into that universal desire, because actually the universe is sharing everything with us for free. We're not really doing anything to get it. We're getting air, sunlight, water from the lakes. So everything's sharing itself with us. So the minute we cleave to the attributes of being creators, we're cleaving to the attributes of sharing. So it's the desire to receive, because we can't help that. It's embedded in us to receive for the sake of sharing. And that's when your consciousness becomes less robotic. So you have the consciousness. Yes, I have the desire to receive here. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to share more of myself in some way. It can be any way, monetary, it can be just love, it can be a hug, it can be a kind word. People think that they need to get their joy or their bliss because they're going to, in ways that don't really make sense. But when you really realize that when you're sharing with people, that's the joy, then you tapped in. So what you're doing is you're sharing when you're on the show, yourself, you're sharing, you're listening. And so you're feeling this immeasurable amount of joy because you tapped in.
Oh, I feel well, is connecting with other people, because I'm stuck here in Michigan City. I'm not traveling out anywhere or whatever, but I want to meet and talk to people about this stuff and give people a place to talk about it. And, you know, it's the reason why I worked hard to make sure I had phone lines. You know, I don't have some fancy setup. I had to rig this all up with cheap equipment to get phone lines into the show. You know, I did it for a purpose. I want people to call in and share the experience and talk.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And the minute that starts happening, then something starts to be triggered within us. And it's a really good feeling. And so that's when you recognize how easily we could shift the world. If everybody understood that just by sharing and caring, we're going to feel happy, we'd all be running after each other trying to help.
If we're, you know, I always say, you know, if the world were to suddenly become telepathic, like we could all read each other, know everything about each other. They'll either be world peace or we blow each other apart. Exactly. It'd be one of the two.
Yes.
You know, but that's the thing is, you know, we have ideas about who we think people are and all that, but sometimes I don't know. I've had interactions with people I thought I knew who they were, and then they open up to me. And I realize a whole new aspect of somebody. You know, you don't know what people are going through.
No, you don't. You don't. You cannot ever walk in another person's shoes, but you can feel compassion.
That's what I'm trying to learn. is to get over my thoughts about somebody and just remember they're a living human being.
Absolutely.
That I don't know I'm not been in their shoes. I don't know what they've gone through. It's hard though, man. As a human, I want to judge tons of people. Go to Walmart and I'm going to be judging all the way.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard.
It's really hard. But remember, we see such a slither of our own reality. It's like we seeing our own little personal slither of and our perception based on our past. Everyone has their own little slither of reality that they're perceiving and believing. And more often than not, it's conditioned. And yet there is that sense. You see, the more you develop that gap and you establish that sense of your essence, you won't be too concerned about the story or anybody else's, because you'll be meeting them on a very basic level, which is how we should all meet each other.
Yeah.
A sense of curiosity and love, and let's all hang out, you know. So
right. And it's some people don't get it though. That's what I see all the time. Yeah.
Although things are improving. I have to
maybe. It seems like people can't talk about it. We live in what they call cancel culture now. Like if you're offended, you should be canceled. You know, I'm sure I offend people all the time.
Yeah, you know.
But are these growing pains? You know, we're going to run out of time. One of the things I keep forgetting I wanted to ask you about, I noticed in your videos, because I know it doesn't relate to my experience, but it brought my attention because I had my shadow person experience. But you talk about a person's shadow.
Yes.
I've heard you mention it, but what is that? What is the shadow?
The shadow are usually the parts of ourselves that we don't want to look at. And that has a lot to do with the fixation. So, for example, for a 6, what is in your shadow is actually your courage and your faith. You wouldn't be so anxious if you knew that everything was always working out for you. And you could believe that with all truthfulness and all honesty, you knew that life and God, or whatever you want to believe in, your source, your force, like your t-shirt, is taking care of you just fine. That you don't have to be so worried all the time. So you develop courage and certainty. I don't like the word belief as much as I do certainty. Certainty in the best outcome.
Yeah, belief is like, I accept this scenario.
For me, belief is just lame. you know,
Right.
and you believe it because you know that you are. On some level, you know you exist. I am. You don't have to think about I am, do you? You know you are.
No.
You don't have to like debate it. Am I or aren't I? Do I exist? Don't I exist? Should I check if I exist? Or maybe I should call a teacher to find out if I exist or read a book? No, you know. Now that's all you need to know. Knowing that that develops the courage. That's the courage, the certainty comes from that knowing. And you have it in you.
So one of the things I've always wondered about my shadow person experience, remember I said I didn't think it was demonic. I said it almost felt alien-like to me. You know, why is it that it knew all my insecurities?
Yes.
And it attacked me for 4 months, usually at night, usually waking me up or in my dreams. And in my dreams, it really knew, it showed me all my anxieties, worst fears, and showed me things I shouldn't know, you know, all that stuff. I don't remember, some guest put it up as like, that could have been an inner manifestation of you waking you up.
You know, you see, the thing is, it's not demonic when you see these things. It's actually awakening. Because what you're doing is you're integrating the parts of yourself that you were, or that in other words, that you're perceiving to be shadow-like, but they're not really your shadow. In other words, the shadow is because there's no light of awareness shining on it. That's why it's a shadow. It's in the dark. The minute you shine your awareness on the shadow, it's no longer the dark. It actually becomes your greatest thing. You know, it's like you can laugh at it almost, because you know, I'm not my anxiety. I'm not these thoughts. And you slowly start to develop courage and certainty around that. I know my kids are going to be fine in that water. You know why? Because they're fine.
Yeah, I want to get there. It's like, let's take the hands off the wheel, Jason.
Yeah.
Because like, that's the thing. It's that certainty is not there for me, you know, and it never has been.
Yeah, it'll come. It comes in time. It does. It does. If it could come for me, it could come for anybody.
Well, this is why I've always said what you say you don't like religion and all that. It's the reason I don't like religion.
Yes.
Because I could never have a...
Yes. You know, religion for me, it's not that I have anything against any religion.
Right.
But I believe that we all are a part of God, really, but not in a way that's egotistical. In other words, so there is no separation, and that means that everyone has a essence that is connected to everything else. It's all energy connected. We just seem like we're these separate little people. Yeah.
I would say when I was, throughout my years, I've always been very deeply interested in religion, Buddhism, Christianity. I was totally interested, but I've always said I'm very jealous of people who have faith or have a religion they have certainty in, or a belief or faith in, because I can't. I'm wired. Always felt I'm wired differently to question it.
Yes, because you're a 6. You are to question authority. And for you, an authority could even be God. It's an authority that's outside of you. You need to develop what's true. You see, what happens is in religions are pointing to some entity or some kind of divinity or divine force that they perceive to be outside of them, that makes them feel better about what's going on inside of them. But in actual fact, is that really true? And if so, what entity specifically is that? If you really are to question that and go deep, it's a part of yourself.
Yeah. In concept, I've always thought about it. I mean, one of the things I've compared, I've always been fascinated by consciousness, and that moment with the shadow person ended when I reached out to a higher power. I'm not, like I said, I'm never Christian or religious, whatever, but I called out to God when this thing was levitating me up off my bed in the middle of the night. And I said, God, please help me. And there was this bright flash of light, and it was gone. And I also saw what looked like my great grandfather step into the room. It was a really crazy story, but in that moment, for that moment there and on, I believe there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is something looking over me. I've had looking back in my childhood, I think I've had other instances of, that too. But that was awakening.
Yeah, totally. We have so much energies or spirit guides or light looking over us and after us all the time. But the most important light to get in touch with is your own. Because
like I said,
what they want you to know.
well, that's what I felt like that, I've had some moments in my life like that shadow person experience were all awakening moments, like moments that
totally.
woke me to the reality I wasn't seeing, about myself.
Yeah. Because we only see such a very small amount of what is really around us. Yes.
So now if people want to, I mean, you teach, you're a spiritual life coach, but I'm sure you're in California. I mean, what do people do if they're looking? What do you recommend?
I coach via Zoom.
Via Zoom?
Yeah. So in other words, that's what I do. So my website is the Rasa Transmission International.com, and anyone can get me there.
And so you start working with them through Zoom, and they start.
They have sessions usually once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And we cover a lot of ground over time.
How have some of your students felt like it's changed their life?
Totally changed their life. They wake up.
But they got to go back to work. One of my favorite sayings my mom would remind me, because my mom's a
They go back
Buddhist.
to work. They do.
It's like
a different kind of sense of their consciousness. They are awake. In other words, they're no longer asleep at the wheel. They're driving with a clean windscreen.
Well, one of my favorite sayings my mom has told me, because she's a Buddhist, is that before enlightenment you have to wash the dishes, or wash the dishes. After enlightenment, you still have to wash the dishes.
And doing your thing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It was lovely getting to talk to you.
It was really wonderful. And thank you to Jamie, and thank you so much to Rob. I'm not exactly sure what you do, but I know that it's probably very important work.
They're here for support.
And quiet. Thank you.
Thank
you, Jason.
They relay the chat room, and they're here for emotional support for my worry.
Yeah,
but
it's so cool. It's such a cool team you've got, and you've got each other. That's beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. That is it for the show, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
Next week, we won't be back. We won't be back until 2 weeks from now with Robert Kopke. We're going to talk about near-death experiences. More getting down to the deep questions. That's what we do here. So check us out 2 weeks. Sorry, next week I got to work, so we won't have a show. But 2 weeks from now, we will be back. Same bad time, same bad channel. Don't forget to subscribe to us on Facebook, Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, on YouTube under Jason Bland or Paranormal Soup. Make sure you subscribe there and follow. And then don't forget we're on Patreon. $2 a month does help pay for the bills for the show, so we can stream out here to YouTube and Facebook, have our internet radio show. All that does cost money. And thank you to all the Patreons who do donate. That helps pay the bills. And thanks to everyone who shares the show. That's the best way to help this show. Sharing it out and telling your friends about Paranormal Soup. All right, guys. See you in 2 weeks. Have a great night. Happy Groundhog's Day. Hopefully we all wake up and it's a new day and not we're leaving this one. You're going to watch the show again, right? All right, guys. See you in 2 weeks.